And we're live.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, everyone. This is how we always start the podcast. Just
Money penny, being like
that. That's how we start every time.
How your money penny?
Well, we got all of our really dumb, goofy stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
It's still
more of it.
recorded
So we're ready to dive right into this podcast part. Let's go ahead and let's go.
Yep.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Yep.
Just let him intro.
Yep.
Hello and welcome to the Pixel Podcast. My name is Matt, and I'm here with Amber.
Oh, hi. Yes, I'm here. I wasn't prepared.
You weren't prepared. I thought I'd flip it around. And I'm also here with Ricardo.
But I always go second. Just
You've
like
gone first. You've gone first before. I've definitely had you go first.
I never go first.
But who's on third?
You never. And I'm also here with Ethan.
Hey, I usually am first, but this time I'm last, and it's fine.
Is it
Remember
fine?
that Talladega Nights where it's like if you're not first, you're last?
Yeah,
That's a good.
Do you remember that
it was alright.
Bible verse where it says the last shall be first and the first shall be last?
No.
No.
I don't remember the reference, but it is a verse.
It's a thing.
Bible reference.
This is our new religious podcast. Talk about.
It's a.
Yeah.
Yep, go
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there.
talk about-
You set
we
yourself
talk about
up.
all the psalms that are on the in and out containers. What's that all about? What's-
That's
and
too
then
real.
then we Google that and we go, yep, all right.
Okay.
Neat.
Yep. And then you're like,
and then
man,
we tell
we
everyone to
should've
go
thought
buy
about-
Chick-fil-A at the end of the podcast.
Oh. Chick-fil-A's pretty good.
What's she eating? She eating a thing she's not supposed to eat.
That's the dog they're talking about.
Yeah, they're
by
talking about the
way.
dog.
They're talking about a
Our
dog.
is
Our
trying
dog
to
is-
eat
Our
things.
dog is trying to eat
for
everything
this.
that is not supposed to be eaten tonight, like chocolate.
Oh, no, it's a gamble, you know.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's
this
just
is
straight
only
up
a bad thing for
It is.
dogs.
My dog once ate a
I mean, my dogs have
whole-
eaten chocolate
Yeah.
before. They're not and they've been fine, so to speak. But it's not good for them.
Yeah.
We can neither confirm nor deny
And
if
it
she actually
can
ate
cause
chocolate.
them serious damage if they eat a lot of it.
It's right after Halloween, so there's just a lot of errant chocolate around.
So I moved into a new place and I bought a giant thing of Halloween candy because it's like, oh shit, is this gonna be the place? Like it's pretty. It's like
Nope.
the suburbs. Is this where the trick or treaters are gonna come?
Right.
Nope.
I was gonna ask you about this because
No one trick or treats in neighborhoods anymore.
But that's the weird
Oh,
thing.
I
is
mean,
every
so-
single one of my coworkers like, oh, we took our kids out. It was great in the neighborhood. Like there's so many.
Yeah,
kids in the
yeah, they
neighborhood.
definitely
and I'm
do.
like, where
I
are
guess
these
some do.
neighborhoods? So you never know if you roll the dice and get in that neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't. This is your first Halloween, so you didn't know if your neighborhood was a neighborhood.
Exactly.
Sure.
So
That-
it's not. So I could not buy a bulk
Now
candy
you-
next
now-
time. So now
now
I
you
got a
can
bunch
eat
of
all
But
that
candy.
shit
now
yourself.
you got like 10 pounds of candy all to yourself.
God.
I feel like we did get did you get any at all?
No.
Or not? Let's see, because we got a few, but I feel like we missed the rush. So it didn't even actually occur to me to like buy any candy. But then my older brother, my roommate, he was like, go to the 99-cent store and get a bunch of candy. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and then so I get home and it's like already dark, and when I get home all the lights are off and he's like taking a shower, and I'm just like, oh well.
Very inviting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I heard like the unspoken rule, right, is you have to have the porch light on, and then it's
Yeah,
like,
you
oh,
have to
we
have the
candy.
lights
And,
on,
like, the
and
lights on
also it's
inside.
like I feel like you need to be ready at around the time that it starts to get dark, and by now it had already been dark for like
an hour or so.
a half hour, an
Yeah.
hour. So I feel like he missed everybody because there's a ton of kids that live in our complex. So I feel like he missed everybody that was going on, which again, not his fault, especially because I was sure as hell wasn't gonna hand out candy. I was like, just leave the fucking thing out front. But he's like, I don't trust.
That's
the
fair.
kids.
As a teenager, I did go stealing those big
See,
giant
everybody's such a bad kid. I always just followed the rules. It
I
took
was
like
good.
one or two candy.
things.
Well, it depends on what time of the night it was. If I was a teenager, I was going around like 9 to 10 p.m., which is like no 6-year-old is out anymore
that's a good
Right.
point.
wanting
Yeah, I
their
do
trick
that
or treat
too.
candy,
was
and then
usually
I wouldn't
It's
steal
just
the bowl.
other dick
I
teenagers.
wouldn't steal the bowl. I would just grab the bowl, pour the bowl into whatever thing I was doing, and then put that back.
No, I wouldn't
solved.
steal the bowl. You're right. Yeah, I would just take
See,
the whole
The
thing out of it.
candy is free, so they're expecting it to be gone.
Yeah. I
and
mean, that
it
was
should
kind
have
of
been
my
gone at that point.
thought too. Is like even if they did steal, or even if it did just go to like one or two kids, it's like the point is to get rid of it, right? But
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
And if kids show up and there's a bowl of candy that says please take one, and they're all gone, then they know there's no they're not gonna knock on the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
but he wanted to hand it out, so
Did he hand it out?
yeah, he did to like a couple,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
to like a couple of
There
kids.
was a couple. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't in vain like mine.
And then I ended up taking.
But he's
the
like,
rest
isn't
to work.
he a teacher as well?
What's up?
Isn't he a teacher as well? Doesn't he teach?
Instructional aid. So
Okay.
like, he,
Okay.
yeah, similar
He's
in
got-
the
he's
same
got-
way.
He's got candy on the mind.
Yeah.
You know how it go.
So the rest went to my coworkers.
Nice.
So that's fun.
There's a little at my work. There's a little donate to the troops section where you can pour all your leftover candy in and send it to the troops,
Okay,
which is
kinda
very
neat.
interesting. So
I think that's
The
interesting.
troops?
Would it would it not melt on the way
that's
to
what
the
I was
troops?
thinking. I'm like, mine's all
Yeah.
chocolate. Like, wouldn't that be nasty on the way back? I mean,
It might be troops that are here in the United States.
Yeah, I was
don't
gonna say, it
think- I
might
don't
be-
think troops like internationally.
abroad.
that's true. You're right.
Yeah.
You're a good point. Every time I think of the troops, I think of the ones that aren't here.
My dog has now decided to stop chewing things she's not supposed to chew and grab one of her toys. She did in fact grab the loudest toy she
Yep.
has.
That's fine. little flavor text.
Well, before I had to stop and go away because she was chewing on the back of our futon, which she has not done since she was like 6 months old. So I was like, great.
So she's just real mad at us that
She's
we're not paying
acting
attention to her right
out.
now.
Yeah, I need to make sure she's got a treat.
You gotta
next
stop
time.
her off that Halloween candy.
You give her a treat now, or did you already do that?
No, I gave her a small one, but not her big one.
Maybe you should do that.
Yeah.
She might. Oh, okay. You gave her. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the podcast. Now we've talked a lot about dogs and trick or treating. Today is Dia de los Muertos.
Yep.
So
but I'm
watch-
not Hispanic, so I don't have any.
So
kind
watch
of-
Coco
I'm
and
not-
cry a
I'm
lot,
not watching this.
Word.
Or Book of
Cry all the
Life.
time.
I'd be like, oh, this
or
is-
and be like, I wish I could discuss this movie with someone, but nobody's seen it.
Man, yeah, I always meant to watch that because I'm like, this got good
It's on
art
our
style.
list. Yeah, that and Song. I think it's the same company, I believe.
No.
No.
Book of Life was like
Song of the Sea
DreamWorks
and
or
The Secret of
something.
Kells are the
Yeah.
same.
Book
Those are
of
the
Life
same.
is like, I think it's like an indie movie kind of in some ways.
Is
Anyway,
it? Or is that
So is Secret of Kells and.
Wasn't
I
it
thought it was
distributed
I
by
thought it was
DreamWorks? Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might be right. Never mind.
Let's just
Nobody
make up
knows
stuff
what the
about
fuck
this
they're
movie.
talking
Nobody knows
about
about that movie. Anyway, that's
We're
about
not a
stuff
movie
we
review podcast, everyone. We're a freaking video game
Exactly.
talk about podcast. Let's talk about some damn video games. We've got a
Yep.
lot of video.
So we actually did.
The one of the biggest games ever came out, and like last week, we didn't get a chance to talk about it because it was still not out yet. And now it's finally here. Everyone's talking about it. Deltarune, Toby Fox's new game,
Yes.
sequel to Undertale.
You should have Return of Oberdin. That would have been actually more
Nah,
accurate.
everyone was talking about Oberdin last week because that was
Sure.
that had already
That's
that's already.
true.
Deltarune, brand new game. This was a little bit crazy at least.
It was crazy
Yeah.
because I thought it would be like maybe some cool like update to Undertale. Overcooked.
Underwatch.
But I was like, oh wow, it's actually like a complete full free game. That's
It
just-
is-
Yeah,
a
I
full
thought it was gonna be a
game.
dumb Smash Bros thing, possibly.
that'd
That
been
was that was
cool.
one on some people were rumored.
Oh, I didn't even think about
I thought it was gonna be a new merch thing.
Yeah, I thought it was
new,
gonna be
new
like a
merch for the Undertales.
something like that.
But no, it's just a free game, or it's like it's apparently chapter 1 of a free game that you
Yeah.
can get.
And not only is it a free game, but it's like an actual sequel to Undertale and fascinating.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say. I feel like I did not expect it to be an actual sequel to Undertale. I thought it was just
Nope.
gonna be like its own thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be something completely.
I would have thought that he. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say pretty much what you were gonna say. I didn't think he'd want to do anything Undertale anymore after all the fandom blowing up about it. So I thought it'd been something completely divorced from
Yeah.
it. Nope, it is a sequel.
There's a very much a sequel,
Yep.
and I would like I would have just thought like if I made a game as big as Undertale with a like devoted to a fan base as Undertale,
For
I would be
better or
freaking
worse.
out that every game I make after that would be compared to Undertale.
Uh-huh.
So making a direct sequel is an interesting tactic. But
Move.
Amber and I have played about an hour of it.
Yeah, that sounds
How
cool.
long is it?
I've
I don't know.
heard on the internet about 3 hours.
That's what I've
Okay.
heard too.
You said it was chapter 1.
Yeah, so I went to the website now, which before did not have this stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
now it does. It has Deltarune Chapter 1.
Oh,
underneath it.
Okay, so we're not
And-
going to get all the questions answered.
Maybe
when
not,
we
maybe
beat
not.
it.
So
Is the gameplay similar to Undertale?
yes and no,
Yes, kind of.
but it definitely feels like it does not feel like it feels like a sequel, like an evolution. It feels like things
Yeah.
have changed.
So the way the combat is different is it's a lot more RPG based. Not to go into too many details, but you play this.
Yeah,
character.
I'd really say that like if you don't, I'd say if you've played Undertale, honestly, besides Ethan, Ricard, did you ever play it? If you played Undertale,
I haven't, but I know.
and you're listening to this or watching this, I would recommend that you just go to deltarune.com and just check it out.
Yeah.
Before
It's
you,
free.
it's free, and before you listen to this, because I think it's you're gonna get more out of it going in completely.
Yes, I would
blind.
say the
we'll
less
try
you
and
know
we'll try
about
and
it,
be
the
very,
better.
very, very light spoilers.
Yeah. So all I was
we
going
won't
to
even say
say,
the names or anything like that. I feel like
we're not going to say the names.
I would say a bit better.
Oh, the names don't give anything away.
Sans.
I just feel like giving my character names. I just say like
Lady with
you
the
just describe them
horns.
again.
It's like a cow.
Well, so yeah, you the mechanics are you
You have like the kind of Final Fantasy style. like-
Flowey.
yeah, you have a party and you have like they even semi have classes. Although not explicitly, but yeah, and there's still
certainly
the
not like a normal RPG game.
yeah, there's still the act mechanic, but then there's also like a magic mechanic and a defend mechanic, and there's a little more strategy involved when you're going against enemies. And the other thing is not only having multiple characters to possibly control, but you also are going against multiple enemies. So you kind of have that.
You did that
Undertale.
in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But you kind of interact with the characters in your party will interact in different ways where they can kind of play off each other. Or you can kind of chain together moves in a way that you can like maybe wipe out almost an entire field of enemies. Yeah, it's interesting. And then when they attack, you still have the little heart, and you're still in the little box, but it's more
Like your character appears on screen, unlike Undertale.
yes.
Like in Undertale, when you go into battle mode, it's just like
You're the heart.
you're the little heart box down at the bottom, and then the enemy you're fighting is like directly in front of you, like Earthbound. And this one is like your characters are on the left hand side of the screen, the enemies are on the right hand side of the screen, and then when they're attacking you, then your heart box like appears in the middle of the screen, and stuff happens.
Is there still any kind of like way or emphasis on pacifism, or
So
is there not?
yes, I will say
We don't know to what extent.
Yes, I will say that even though we don't know how it plays out, the game does very pointedly kind of point out the mechanics of, hey, you don't have to fight all the enemies. You can you can pacify them. You don't have to fight. And it very clearly kind of illustrates that, like, hey, like you could even says, I think at one point, like you could get a better ending, but it's like with this game, I'm not sure. I'm like, okay, either they're like playing with your expectations or I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, it's much more upfront about that kind of stuff than Undertale was.
I do know Toby Fox posted a screenshot of like some file names.
Oh yes.
And I do know that like this possibly could be, or at least some parts of it, at least I would imagine nothing completely, but like parts of this game are probably a prototype of Undertale.
Yeah.
Because there are file names that he has that have like first created 2012 or something like that, like
or at least like
Undertale
characters and concepts were around.
Like character names maybe, or things like that. So some of that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
The writing's still pretty much just as funny as Undertale. There's a really good character that you meet. Who
is it a villain character?
Yeah, there's a villain character that you meet that is pretty great.
Yep.
It sounds like it starts a little faster than Undertale, because Undertale had that kind of slower build up for like the first like hour, then you kind of get into the meat.
Yeah, like the first chapter of Undertale I feel like is good, but it definitely doesn't get you into like the humor of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get you into the humor of the game, but it doesn't get you into like
kind of what this game is.
What the thick of it, I think, like it has a whole chapter that is just like introing you to everything.
Yeah.
And it's really when you meet Sans and Papyrus in the second chapter that like the game I feel like really kicks off.
Yeah.
But
this gets you into it faster, I would definitely say. There's a little bit of an intro, and then you're definitely getting like some backstory, some like, hey, here's the new mechanics of this game. But it definitely the witty writing and the silly jokes are definitely in there pretty early on.
Yeah.
So.
And this game has a run button.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
It's like when you get the shoes in Pokemon, and then you're like, oh my God.
No, when you get the bike, you're like,
well, the
I
bike,
can go
sure,
places.
but like the shoes, you don't even have to. You just are always wearing them.
That's only gold and silver, right? I think
it started in gold and
I think
silver.
it's when it started.
I think so.
I think it might have been later.
Could have been
The
Ruby
original
and
Gold and
Sapphire?
Silver, I don't think they had the shoes for that.
Maybe
You
I
still
could be
Game Boy. You only had 2 buttons.
It might have been
like-
Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, I think
There
it
you
was a
go.
little
That
later.
might have been
Right.
it. But yeah, there's also, you can put in the options just to always run, and I was like, gonna do that. Like, don't need to hit the button.
But what if you get to like a weird walking puzzle where you need to walk slower?
Spoilers, that did happen.
Oh.
And I just
Turned it off.
no, just with the
Oh,
run.
you
I was
just
like,
ran.
"Alright, I got it."
Just deal with it.
Yeah. It seems pretty good so far.
Yes.
It's obviously hard to say. We haven't played enough of it to really
Yeah.
get into it. But
It-
yeah, I think again, if you're interested, if you liked Undertale at all, then you should go check it out because there's really no reason not to.
Is the rest of
feels
the
like
game? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Is the rest of the game free, or is it just gonna be this first episode?
I don't know. I
clue.
have no idea. I would say, probably not, because like I
Yeah.
feel like it's only fair to like charge money for a thing you made. But I have no idea.
If he would have come out like, yo, got this new Deltarune on Steam, I would have been like, sold. How much money? Like, it wouldn't have
It's true.
taken. Like, I feel like this game definitely feels like it's more so for fans of the original game. So
Uh-huh.
I feel like they will pay whatever.
that's
that
true.
man is asking.
Honestly, I'm a little disappointed. It's not. Yeah, a little disappointed that it's a sequel, and I was kind of hoping to see like he would do something original.
See what else he can
Yeah, I mean, I understand game development takes a while, and it's easy if you have all those assets laying around. You're like, oh well,
Right.
I'll rework this into something fun, and it could be Undertale sequel. Like, it sounds like he had that stuff laying around, but I'm really curious what he'll do next. I guess.
Yeah, and that's what it's. I think the whole thing feels like a fever dream. It's like this is what you would kind of semi want a little bit, like, oh, it'd be great to see like just what a sequel would look like.
Yeah.
But to actually get it, and then like for us to be playing through it the whole time, Matt and I were just like, okay, what's going to happen with this game? Like, what is?
Yeah, I think like the trouble with making a sequel to Undertale is that both Amber and I keep going like, where's the twist? Like, what's
Yeah.
When's the thing gonna happen?
like? Which I mean, Undertale doesn't really have a. I wouldn't say Undertale has a twist.
No,
but like it just play with your expectations a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like wondering in this game the whole time we're playing it, like, okay, so like what's gonna what's this gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not how I played Undertale. I didn't play Undertale
No.
the first time, at least. I didn't play Undertale and go like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's this crazy thing?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was gonna happen, and then now I have this pre-existing expectation in my head about what could be.
Yeah.
So it definitely is weird, but like I do like it. I think I actually like the combat system better than the first Undertale.
Yeah, it's got a lot of nuance to it that is really cool.
Yeah, there's a certain way your characters that you get interact with each other where none of them do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So
kind of like they have different classes almost.
yeah, but it's different than that though, because like in a normal RPG you have different classes and you get to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah.
And you get to it just means that they have different moves is all that usually means, but this is like they fundamentally play differently to each other. Like the three characters you have they aren't all the same. They don't all like interact with the enemies the same way.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to
That's what I was trying to say without being so.
Yeah, we have to do this kind of rock paper scissors sort of situation to do the combat, and that's interesting.
So yeah, we want to definitely play more of that because that is just still a weird thing, and we'll see what else.
Let's get this podcast done so we can go back and play that.
You got a while, I think.
Moving on.
Hurry it up.
Moving on to the actual big game that everyone was actually talking about, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ah, I thought you were talking about Oberdin, which is also we got a boof. We got some boofing. Got some
Sport.
Grumpy dog.
Red Dead Redemption 2. All right. Well, this game,
the cowboy game.
the cowboy game,
Tarnations.
man.
There's gold in them there hills.
I absolutely love this game. Like, I feel really weird saying that because I hear all the labor stuff, but I'm just like, holy shit, this game.
Well,
is...
again, a lot of people worked a long time on the game.
They worked so much on it.
I think it's okay to like the game despite its troubled creation, just as long as you're aware of that while you're playing it. You know?
I think the thing was like I really liked the first Red Dead Redemption a lot, and that game apparently hasn't aged super well. I haven't gone back and played it, but
Did you listen to Waypoint's thing about that?
Yeah, I have. And then,
that was really interesting hearing them. Even like Patrick, who was like one of his favorite games of all time.
It makes sense though. Like games have moved on. It's like game is like 10 years old now at that point.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things have moved on. And I never really got I play the Grand Theft Auto games. I'm just like, yeah, these are fine. Like they're okay. They don't really do it for me. But like going back to like all the things that they've learned and the fact that like they just sat and just made this game for like so many 8 years or whatever, how long it took.
Yeah, long time.
You can see all the lessons they've learned, and they just made their own like game. And a lot of people are talking about the pacing of it and how it's very slow, and they get to go through all the animations. And that is what I love about this game because. Coming off like Assassin's Creed,
Cowboy Simulator.
It is very simulator. I mean, obviously it's not.
It's still a video game.
It's still a video game. But coming off of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
right?
And how like so much of that game is like there's a bunch of numbers. You're just gonna go to this mission. You're gonna do the thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna level up your XP.
It's a game. It's a
game. It's a game. And it's like, oh, while you're riding your horse, you can tap Y the whole time and harvest all the herbs you come across, and just instantly, like you don't even see an animation. It's just the herb is picked up. And then you go to this game where it's like, all right, you shot that animal. Okay, well, do you want to skin it or do you want to take its whole like body back? Okay, well, now you have to walk back over to your horse, slap it on the horse, ride all the way back to town, drop that off, and then have the like communicate with whoever it is and be like, oh, hey, I gotta drop this off. Or
And if you don't take it back fast enough, then it goes bad, and then
Yeah.
but all those like small, tiny animations is like freaking crazy to me. Like you're walking up
Yeah.
to the butcher and you're like, hey, what's up? He's just making. It's not just like, oh, I'm doing an animation of like chopping like a a chicken.
Yeah,
up.
just
It's like,
and you're like
it's like-
infinitely chopping the same.
Yeah.
and he's, like,
he
infinitely
has a
chopping the
whole
same.
animation of like pulls out a chicken, cuts the sides off, puts them in a corner, dices up the breast, cuts the breast in half, and then like was all this like other things, and then
Nice.
puts it into the bowl of meat or whatever, and then it'll
No,
repeat. But it's like
you lost me.
I know the bowl of meat.
He has a
The
whole
meat
bowl
bowl.
of meat.
the old meatball.
There were so many like little tiny interactions that really is like, oh man, like it just feels like they went the extra step, and it makes you want to be like role playing. Like I want to
Yeah.
be like
Right.
You want
I
to
want to
immerse
be
yourself in that character.
Yeah, I want to be that character. And honestly, the main character is really
who-
good.
Yeah, who is
So
that
he
character?
is.
And who are you as Arthur?
Because I was gonna say, because like that was one of my biggest things is that in the trailers, I felt like his personality did not come through.
And that's what's
the
weird
trailers,
about it.
the trailers did not sell this game
Isn't
well.
that-
He
I'll
has
say.
all this.
I know. That's the thing. Is like it's hard to distill a game that has this much content, this much depth, this much
Right.
like how slow it is in like 3-minute long trailers. The main character is actually that's the thing is weird about him is he is kind of sarcastic, but also like he will sit down and get shit done if it need to be done. Like he will be very serious, but then when the time comes, he can just be kind of a joking guy and kind of make silly comments or whatever. His character is that he's just kind of like, this is all I've known. This is the life I live. I live with this, this Dutch guy, the main character. You have this whole camp, and it's run by Dutch from the first game, and you have this whole like plot of like your character is just like this is all he's known. Dutch just rescued him as a kid. He's just gonna do what he says, but he also questions it and stuff like that. But he just knows the outlaw life sort of thing. Which is, it's hard to explain, but he has little nuances that it's just like, he's so much more than just like, I'm gruff, masculine cowboy. Like, he also is like, he definitely is like, I'm a masculine man, whatever. But he has lots of little quirks, and he has his own personality. And the writing in this game is surprisingly good and sincere, which I didn't expect from coming off of just playing like,
Not from Rockstar.
yeah, playing like Grand Theft Auto 5, where everything is just
Grand
like,
Theft Auto 5 is one of the most.
I was gonna say, I feel like Grand Theft Auto 5 might be the peak low of like their writing, where they get so like kind of like
up their own ass.
yeah, in a weird way.
It's so up its own ass. It's so cynical. That game is, I think it might have been someone on Waypoint described it as like mean spirited, and that's like the most
Yes.
accurate.
Totally.
It's like
Exactly.
everything about it is like everybody's a terrible person,
Yeah.
and the game is like all these terrible people. It doesn't everything
America.
suck?
Like,
Doesn't
at
everybody suck?
like-
Doesn't America suck? Like
It's a lot of people like say what you want about like kind of the later chapters of like Grand Theft Auto 4, but I think 4 overall is a better written
I think
game.
the
and
thing is, I
Nico
didn't even
is
like
a-
Grand Theft Auto 4, but I still was like more sympathetic towards the 10-5 because
Right.
the main character at least is like he's got like problems,
Yeah.
he's a relatable
He's an
character.
immigrant, and
Yeah.
he had nothing, and he came to America to experience the American dream, and then it's like,
sucks.
well,
The
here it
Americans,
is.
like,
It sucks. It's stupid.
nope.
But this game is very sincere because you just got this whole. It very much feels like Mass Effect 2 in a lot of ways, where you have this camp, and you're
Good
going
one.
and you're going around
I
talking to
understand that
people.
one.
Yeah, you understand that reference now.
Mm.
You're going around talking to people, and then it's like, but it's not like you're building up a meter and like, oh, cool, I'm gonna build this meter. We're gonna go on a loyalty
And you
mission.
go up to them, and they're like, "Not now." Whatever
Yeah.
the fuck your
I know,
cowboy
yeah,
man's
calibration.
name
I have to do
is.
some
No, you can
calibrations.
talk to them, and they'll have a couple lines of dialogue, and that's the whole big thing about this game is you can highlight anyone, and you have 3 different options. You can point a gun at them.
I was gonna say, now I hear that the controls take a hot second to get used
I
to.
hear these controls are bad.
Balls.
Yeah,
Like, here's
I
the
think
thing,
these
is-
controls are
is
bad.
Like,
I've
you know
heard-
how many things they stuffed into the controls of the last Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. Like
Yes.
how there's
Oh,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
different ways. Like that game, I literally didn't. Never shield surf because I didn't know how to do it. Like never.
Oh god, I still had
Oh,
a problem where I
really?
was like,
Okay.
I had to sit and think.
I
like,
never did
how
too
do I
in the
shield
time I
surf?
played it.
Exactly. And so this game magnifies that so much more because you have your inventory and you have a satchel, and it's like, what the hell? Like they are trying
What's
to
the
do
difference?
Uh,
Shouldn't your
inventory-
inventory be in your satchel?
No, the satchels, isn't it like all the stuff you can bring with you whenever?
It's all stuff you can bring with you whenever, and you have your inventory, which is like
what he has on his person, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's really weird. It's a very strange thing of like, okay, there's two different things where I have all this stuff.
It's
weird.
it's such a weird
Or it's like
conceit
items.
of like,
It's like I have a gun. Oh, this is the gun. This is going in the satchel. This is like gun stuff. This is stuff I wear on my person.
I see.
Gun stuff.
Yeah.
gun stuff.
Gun
The,
stuff.
the weird thing to me is like yeah, like that kind of mechanic strikes me as a sort of thing of like, oh, we need to make the game more realistic or something.
Yeah.
And then like your horse still has infinite inventory space, like no matter what. Like so it's like I just don't really
feel
get
like
that
for
kind
me,
of like
that kind of they cut
mentality.
it where it's like, but that's the thing is like nobody likes inventory.
I was
space.
gonna say, you
Nobody's
gotta-
like,
No, they don't. They definitely don't.
I feel like
agree.
in games, specifically ones that are trying to immerse you, you have to find that line of like, okay, what's gonna be an interesting gameplay thing to manage, and what's just gonna be annoying, and should
Exactly.
we just like try
and
to?
that's the thing is
cut
like
that.
I thought all these little animations, all this little like the little details they put in would be kind of annoying, but it kind of just encourages you to get into
To
it.
just
what's
be
not
your
what's not
character.
immersing is sitting there doing inventory management, because as a person you never do that in real life. You know, you'll
Just throw
just
everything
throw
in your room.
throw everything on your bed. You say I'm gonna
It's
do
kinda
it
what cleaning
tomorrow,
up is.
and I don't want to do it. It's not fun. But
Too real.
Unless it's Resident Evil 4.
yeah, then it's like a game out
What
on
are you,
itself.
boy?
You could get that egg in just the right spot. That egg needs to be near
Egg.
the different egg.
But the whole
Cool,
feature of like
love it.
talking to people, and you can like have a little conversation with them if you just hit the nice button. It's just funny though, because like unless you want to be like, I'm trying to play a good person just because
Right.
I feel that way, but it's weird because you can't. It's almost like Mass Effect where it's like you can only play a good, like even if you play a bad person, you're playing kind of a good bad person, you know, like they're just being like
Right.
they're just not playing by the rules. You're playing a bad person. You're just playing a bad person as a code sort of thing, where it's like, oh, I don't do that crazy thing, but I'll totally murder you if you see me witness, if you see me kill
Right.
someone, like beat someone to death.
Yeah.
There's so many times it's like I have a fist fight with someone. All right, I'll fist fight him, and then you knock him out, and then someone's like, oh, I saw that. I'm gonna go run, and I'm like,
You're
come
like-
back here, and you can point a gun
Like,
at them
no.
and threaten them, and they're like, okay, I swear I won't say anything, and you know it works sometimes. Then so many people are like, nah, partner, I'm getting out of here, and they pulled a gun on you and just
And
like
you're like,
shooting you,
"Ah-ta,
and you're like, oh, I already got a headshot on you.
Self-defense.
There is so
It was
many.
self-defense.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a notion of like explaining yourself.
There
from what
is
I've heard.
sometimes there
So
is
really?
there is
Okay.
like a there is a
Like,
diffuser
I've
situation.
heard a lot of
button
stories of like I
sometimes.
accidentally punched a dude or shot him.
Yeah.
It's a dude.
There-
Town is like running away from me, trying to get to kill the sheriff.
There is the
Like,
problem is the window is very small, and of course you're fumbling with the controls, especially
I was
because.
gonna say, like, a lot of those stories I feel like have been because, oh fuck, the controls.
And that's the thing is,
Yeah.
I assume the controls will get better as you get, you know,
As you learn
as
them.
billion hours you put into this game, you'll learn them. But like for now, there's a time when I was like, I'm gonna use the antagonize button because it's funny, and I said, hey sheriff, and he's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, sure feels good to hide behind that badge so you can just do what you want. And he's just like, you know who you're talking to? And I was like, oh, I gotta hit the defuse button, and then it's like, you're coming with me, and I'm like, no shit, and I just surrendered and went and spent the night in jail. That's also
As
like,
you get from mouthing off to the sheriff.
I know.
the most. Oh boy.
Like I guess I get what
You get back to camp. Where were you? I had to spend the night in
in
jail.
Because I called the sheriff a bitch.
Yeah, basically.
He didn't like it. I don't know
You're
why.
like, you're coming with me. There's so many
Oh.
like even like the little. I think what's surprising though is like all the first like chapter of the game is just like pure tutorial. You can't do anything. You can't go in the out world. It's just like it's very because it's set in the snow.
Scripted.
Isn't
It's
it
very
like really
scripted.
long? Isn't it like
It's
3
pretty-
hours long or something?
It's
like
pretty
that?
long,
And-
but like it was engaging the whole time for me. I was interested because just the cinematic effort that went behind it, and just like this
Mhm.
feels very much like a Hateful Eight sort of. where it's,
Yes,
like, very
It
slow.
looks like I got mad
I
Hateful Eight
definitely-
vibes when I saw
I
it.
definitely, when I saw the trailers of that part, I was like, somebody watched Hateful Eight.
I know
before
it
they
honestly
made
is.
this- before
It's
they-
similar to that because being like it's in the snow, but you know,
I haven't seen that yet.
it's fine. It's a good movie.
It takes a lot of place in the snow.
It's also very slow. Who
Speaking of-
knew?
I was gonna say, speaking of really slow-paced movies,
Yeah.
the
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight is a very slow-paced. Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed it, but
I like it,
I
but
can
it's very
understand the
slow.
criticisms against it
Fine.
for sure. It's very slow.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you get through that and you're like, okay, now I get this open world, but I'm like, I just want to do the story missions because I honestly find the characters of the situation like super compelling, especially when you run into John Marston again and you're like, oh, what's this guy's deal? You know, like, oh,
He's like,
What's
here
this-
I
what's
am
this guy-
from the
what's
first
this
game.
guy's
here
deal?
I am.
Remember?
I'm actually kind of a piece of shit in this game.
I'm
Like,
alive.
Sure hope nothing bad happens to me. And that's the thing is I need to
I'm gonna live forever.
I sure hope nothing bad happens to any of these characters that I,
I know
still
that's
love.
the thing is I need to rewatch what happens because I hear it actually makes it better if you know what happens in the first game. But it's been so
There's a
long since I played it.
Kotaku,
Yeah.
there's a Kotaku video.
I mean, like
that,
literally
does a
all
nice
those
summary.
people in Red Dead 1 that you're like looking for and hunting down are people
part
from
of this
Dutch's
game.
gang.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything.
So Bill Williamson's also in this. Bill Williamson's also in this.
Javier is also
Right.
in it as well.
Yeah.
But
I'll be honest. I stopped playing Red Dead 1 around the time you get to Mexico because that's the part where the game grinds to like a halt.
I'll be
The
honest,
only
I never played.
cameras that I need.
Again, going back to it now might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Dead 1 is the only game I ever, only Rockstar game I
Brings
ever
back to
beat.
you.
Well, actually, I beat 4, but I was reluctant.
I like loved Red Dead and like immersed myself in it for so long, and then you get to like that ending sequence,
Is not great.
and I'm just like, let's go, let's just like.
Oh really? Because everyone
mainline
says they
this.
love that
See, that's
part.
the thing is the very
like-
end sequence where you're on the farm.
Uh-huh.
Like that is this whole game. Like it's just like
See,
doing.
I
doing
mean,
Might
like
not
very,
be your
That's the
game.
thing is if you're going in with that mindset.
yeah,
it
Yeah,
might
but
make
everyone-
it
everyone-
But that's
yeah,
the
everyone
thing
would
is
like
like
that
there's
part,
the
is the-
full game before that in Red Dead, and then you minimize
It
it,
does
to
make it a
that,
little
and
weird.
it's like
Just think of it like Stardew Valley. It's the Stardew Valley of cowboy games.
Kinda, yeah. All right.
I didn't. I never got that far in Red Dead. 1,
I mean, I beat it.
But I really appreciated that it did that. Like that it
Right.
spent the time to like have the main plot like end, and then have you like go and still do a bunch of kind of more like mundane things before it wraps up in that kind of climactic
Yeah.
like last minute way. Because I feel like it really makes it feel. It made
Like
it
real.
yeah, it added to like a little bit of the character, I guess you'd
Yeah.
say. Of
I mean,
what
I
you're
beat
doing.
it, and I actually liked the ending.
The ending
but,
is good. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm really curious where this game goes because we all know the
Mhm.
ending, but I want to see how the characters interact, and it's just
Right.
it's just a beautiful looking game too. Like it looks so good.
The thing that I feel like I keep on seeing, I've only seen like some content, just like people streaming or
I've seen
herds
a
and
lot
stuff.
of people eating shit on horses. Like just
Yeah,
getting
that is
Yeah,
actually-
a lot
fucked up
of
on
that.
horses.
Man, you wipe out good on a horse.
The controls.
Yeah, but no, the thing I would say is that this thing about this game, it seems almost like the antithesis of open world games. Like it really wants to, like when you were kind of comparing it to Odyssey, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems like it wants to strip out a lot of the checklisting kind
Definitely.
of
Like there's
like
lots
you
of
do all
there's
this.
lots of things to do, and if you really want to, you can go into the menu and be like, okay, well, if I want to keep my gambler rank up, which does almost nothing, I don't think, you can sit there and play, gamble for a whole long time and just play 10 hands or whatever and
I
keep winning
mean-
of Texas Hold'em.
Yep.
Like but it doesn't feel necessary. Like I don't have
Yeah.
to sit there and grind this out. I don't want to. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to hunt these legendary animals, or whatever. Which also is great because they have this scene where you find a legendary animal, and one of the main characters is like, oh, here's a list of all the legendary animals. I'm like, oh, well, we didn't kill that legendary animal. I'm going to get it. It's this giant ass grizzly bear. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go get it. So I see it, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot it. So I started shooting it a couple times, just came over, smacked me once, and I was dead. I was like, all right, that makes sense. Like, that's fair. That's fair. Like, if a grizzly hit me, it'd probably just straight up die. That thing is that
Yep.
big. But it's just the little touches, like such as like when you're in the little swamp area and you kill someone and they fall down, like the mud covers them, and you're walking around the mud, and like it's just all those little details just added to be like they really want you to play this game as like it feels weird saying a simulator because it's definitely not like an actual sim game.
Sure, yeah.
But it's like, oh, it feels very much like grounded and very rooted in
Yeah.
just like reality. And like this is the first game I'm not just running around everywhere. I'm just walking slowly and just taking in the sights and all the people walking around. And maybe something crazy will happen, and more often than not, it does. Like for example, last night I was playing and this caravan came by and this lady was just screaming like, "Help me! Help me! I'm not supposed to be in here." And it was a black lady, so
I'm
I was
in the
like,
wrong
"There's
game."
probably some racist shit going on here." So I was like, "Hey, sheriffs, you're probably being racist, aren't you?" And they're like, you need to stay out of this. So I killed them both. I was like, cool. And I let her out, and she was just like, oh, I heard about this really cool place over here that's perfect for Robin. Like, they have like really valuable things. I'm gonna run off here. So she runs off, and I'm like, okay. So I start putting the bodies places. But as I'm putting this, some guy with like a lantern, it's like middle of the night, lantern just walks in. He's just like, what the hell is this? And I'm off in the corner because there's just
like, oh.
I'm like off in the corner. He's just like, I'm gonna go tell the authorities. And he starts running off. I'm like, hey, you stop there. And he's like, no, I don't like you, son. And I just had to kill him and hide his body. And shooting that made all the horses run away because they were scared.
Oh no!
Jeez.
It's just systems on systems on systems going crazy. And like, there's one time I was riding and this guy just fell off his horse. He's like, oh, I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm gonna take him to the doctor because he's just not feeling good. And he obviously has all these cuts on his arm, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like, all right. So I go into the main town. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like the main
Saint Denis.
Saint Denis. It's the big town.
It's fake New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna let you finish the story, but this is the second time I've heard this story. So I really wonder how many.
Mine is different.
There are.
So what happens?
That's the thing. I guess the ending will always be different, right?
So I bring the guy, and I run through the town, and I get the guy, and I'm like, okay, cool. I got the guy. I picked him up, and I brought him to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh wow, okay. Whew, boy, thanks for bringing him in, but and then I was like, what is this guy like? What is this doctor gonna do? And the doctor's like, okay, well, thank you for bringing him. And the guy's like, oh, I'm all out of it. Here, have some money. Thanks. Here's your quest reward. Whatever. And the freaking doctor's like, sorry, man. Like, you need to leave. And I'm like, okay, if you want to. And he starts talking to the guys like, sorry, we gotta take this arm off. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, it's like, okay. He's like, here we go. And like, I was like, oh, okay, they're not gonna show this, right? And they're just like, nope. They just got the guy. He picks the balls on.
Just fucking sawing a dude's arm off.
And Lindsay was looking at her phone. She looks up, just see this guy's arm getting sawed. She's like, what the hell?
What is this game you're playing?
What is this thing going on? I'm just like, I just wanted to see if they would let me see it. And it was like,
he told you to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, man.
So I was like, wow, they really went through like the whole animation. I was like, I don't want to watch this. So I leave, and it's just like, it was.
Imagine this being like real life. You just stay, and you're just like, man, this is graphic. And you just turn and leave in the middle of this guy getting his arms
I'm not committed to that sort of thing,
Well, have fun, guys. I'm out.
Yeah.
That looks painful, bud. Call me when you're done.
Exactly. So then you have the whole camp, and you hang out at the camp, and you can talk to all your people that go out there, and you go on dumb fun missions with them. And so one of them was just, hey, man, this guy got captured. I'm really rattled by it. Let's go out drinking. And then you go out drinking, and you have this ridiculously long scene of you just getting wasted. And just like all these different little vignettes of what it's like being wasted. And I'm just like, man, this is a good.
This game's all right.
This game's pretty great.
I always like games where you can get wasted.
You get wasted, and it's like first person of you going to the bathroom. You're like, cool.
We know this about Amber playing Mass Effect 2. And literally every single bar scene. Let's see how many times I can order a drink here.
Listen, I gotta see. I gotta know. It's for science.
I had never seen like a lot of those like scenes that you've done because like I take a drink and then I'm just like I'm out of here.
Too much time.
Listen, my shepherd's a good shepherd, but she got a little bit of a drinking problem.
I mean, it's a very stressful job that she has.
I know. Anyway,
I'm gonna finish up Red Dead 2 because I can talk about that game forever, and like
it looks pretty phenomenal.
It's definitely. I will say this. I think Kirk Hamilton from Kotaku summed it up where he's just like, this is where this is like instead of Far Cry 3, everyone based their game off that, their open world game off that. They based off Far Cry 2. Where it's just systems on systems that like interact in weird ways that are like, oh, okay, like this is on top of that will cause this, and in some ways it feels like a Breath of the Wild pulled back into more like a not so open nature, and it's just actually has like dialogue and stories and things like that.
Yeah,
to talk about.
But more systems because Breath of the Wild had the physics and the weather, but didn't really have a bunch of like NPC or random.
NPCs kind of went on. There
definitely were.
They did things, but they won't react to in the same way of like, oh, I don't trust that guy. I saw you beat that guy. Like I went to a bar after a bar fight, and everyone's like, whoa, I don't want no trouble. And it's like, no, I'm not here for trouble this time. I'm like, all right, you better be sure about that.
What's your haircut? What's
Yeah,
your, what's
what-
your what's your
I
hair?
just,
What's
I
your
just
hair
have the standard
situation?
haircut
I
right
was
now.
gonna
I'm gonna
say,
grow it out.
like
should grow
in
it
those
out.
games, I like the ability to express your style.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, can you like
Yeah,
are there
this one-
different
oh, yeah.
outfits
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff?
This
Of
one you can
course.
only cut your hair down, though.
Yeah, you have to
only
wait for
grow
it to
your
grow
beard
out.
out. You
You get
can't like
different
go to the
levels.
hairdresser
Wasn't
and be
that
like, I want this beard. I want any.
Wasn't
like,
that supposed to be what happened with The Witcher?
I think so, but
Two.
it was just like you can. You
Excuse me,
definitely will
three.
grow a beard dynamically, but I don't know if it'll actually like.
You'll grow a beard dynamically, but I don't think you can just shave it off or
Yeah.
not. Like I don't think there's like
Yeah,
a.
you can trim it in this one. Be like, oh, I want a number 3 on my mustache, but I want a number like 5 on the rest of my face or something weird like that.
See, it's that shit.
There's something so
that
nice
shit
about
that's
that.
gonna get me to play the
It's
it's that sort of shit's gonna
it's
get
really
me to play
good.
the
Like
game.
there's just the thing is you could grab beans and it recovers your stamina core or whatever.
Senzu
You
beans,
grab a bunch of beans and
Senzu
you just
beans.
walk around. You hit the R2 button
and you're
or
just
whatever.
eating
You
beans.
just eat beans. Like you just do shit like that. Like it sounds so weird and like mundane, but like it's so cool. It's so
That's
cool.
a
Just be
very cowboy thing.
like I'm just gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to you about beans, and then I'm gonna go get my coffee from the fire and just hang out and listen to what you're saying. Oh, we're gonna have a story time with the priest man. Oh, he's a drunk, but I'll listen to him. I'll drink my coffee.
Record
Yeah,
this.
isn't there like a cool
Or
thing
these
about
sleeping tapes.
Isn't there a cool thing about like eating stew or eating food at the camp? Because like that's where you'll get like these like not the only time, but you'll get these little like dialogue moments or everyone's just
Not
sitting
exactly-
around the
not-
campfire.
It's also if you just
Am
go
I
to the camp,
misunderstanding
it doesn't
that?
matter with if you're eating or not, but you can eat, and that will boost like your health and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay, okay.
The whole core system is weird, but I don't want to talk
Got
about
it.
that.
Yeah.
There's a lot. The thing that being said, like as much as I like this game, there's so many weird choices. Such along the UI is very clunky. Like to save, there's
Yeah.
no like save button. You have to go to the story section, and then there's like load story, new story, save story. And it's like
Mm.
it just seems weird. And then there's the whole the actual gameplay is like kind of rough and like hard to figure out. Like everything is very slow. You have to figure out like unholster this gun and point it at someone, shoot it at them, and holster it when you want. And if you accidentally look at someone who you don't want to talk to, or you do want to talk to, and you pull out your gun accidentally because you have your gun out, and it's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. And they're like, whoa. Usually it gives you a bit of time to be like, I'm sorry, but it's a lot of like weird control things, and I feel like that's
yeah,
kinda-
like holding a button and then pressing a different button.
There's so
and
much
then
of that.
Having a different button pressed before you hold the button, and
It takes
Yeah.
a while to get used to, but I think after a while, like, I mean, although I played like maybe like 20 hours of the game or something like that, like it's still kind of like, okay, I'm figuring this out. I've gotten better at shooting mans, gotten all right at that.
Nice.
yeah,
Good.
that's probably a big part of the game, I would imagine.
Anyway, game is very good, and
Yeah,
and the music is
I'll
so
probably
good.
play it eventually.
Yeah,
so
we'll play it
good.
eventually. I like yeah, there's just so many cool details. It seems like I saw a snippet where where a guy was at a shop and he was like going through the catalog, and I'm like, look at this mother effing
I
catalog
just saw that. I know
menu.
you go. I
This is
literally said that out loud.
fantastic.
I was like, "Oh, I want to buy something from the shop," and it's just like, here is this old school catalog, like Sears
Yeah.
magazine, old school,
Oh, it's
that
so
comes up, and it's
good.
like got fake advertisements in it, and you're actually like going
Yeah.
through each time, being like, "Oh, look at all
You're
like,
like,
the
this
guns and
looks
stuff."
good. I
Yeah,
want that.
Man.
And then
exactly.
they have
Point
to-
to him, he's like, "That's a good choice."
And then do
Pardon?
they have to like literally order it?
No,
for
they
you?
don't. Order,
Oh,
they just
okay.
have it for you.
I
but,
was like, do
There's
they
not- yeah,
literally
it's
have to
not-
order it and then you
No.
wait for it to come in?
no,
and-
it's not that
in 2
crazy.
weeks.
They send you a letter by post, and
It'll just say
and,
unavailable or whatever if it's not available. in the shop.
But
it's
just
pretty
like that
cool.
kind of stuff and that level of detail is just like that's the stuff that makes me
And like
excited. and
Arthur
very
has his own
fun.
like journal that you can look in, and he has his own thoughts. Like we might not express them as well because obviously he's kind of like a stoic kind of figure, but he expresses it in this little journal, and it has his own little like sketches and
Oh, like
and
Life is
writings.
Strange.
Kind of like Life is Strange, honestly.
Wowzers.
Wowzers. But he is like crosses out
Just like
words
him.
and stuff like that, and like writes other things. And it's got a
and
lot
you
of
draw,
He's
you
right.
draw,
personality
you
to
draw a picture of a skateboard and be
it.
like,
No.
But he's
Skateboard.
educated.
I'm not a poser.
His
Somewhat?
writing, he doesn't use good grammar.
Oh,
like it is
okay.
definitely one of those things where you read it and you're like, ooh,
This
okay, this
guy-
guy's not the most.
This is
I
when
mean,
schooling
this
was
this game takes place in 1899, so I'm sure there are
Yeah.
people that were not literate
Tonight-
back then, of course.
yeah.
But
They're-
like, I
they
feel
do
like
make things
at that
about that where
point,
it's like,
people
oh,
were,
good job, you can
More
read.
and more were.
Yeah, I feel like at that
Tonight-
point, more and more people were literate, even if you weren't highly educated.
We're gonna
Yeah.
party like it's 1899.
Nice.
The dream of the 90s is alive in Portland.
Anyway,
Indeed. The 1890s.
Surprised, the Rockstar game is very good and very detailed.
Yeah.
I actually am surprised. I'm surprised by the writing. I'm surprised
Yeah,
by that and how the systems come together.
yeah, and it's like that's it makes it more where the kind of like the length of time taken to make the game in years and in work hours, and the kind of like those details come into play when it actually like it makes sense when you're looking at a game like that.
Still, could have
Because
waited.
it's
Could have
definitely-
waited a little
yeah.
longer on the hopper.
Oh,
if
yeah.
they wanted
Yeah,
not to stress
exactly,
everyone
you know
out
what I mean?
making it, and seeing all those weird black
That
bars
mandatory
every time they
overtime.
come down.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah,
I-
that's
That really
fine.
made a difference, didn't it? Were you like, wow, these cutscenes are so much better
it does
now?
Feel slightly more cinematic, I guess.
Yeah,
Anyways.
worth it. What I'm
Yeah.
hearing is worth it.
Worth it.
What I'm hearing is worth it. Ricardo, I want to know if Castlevania Requiem is worth it.
Castlevania Requiem is totally
Okay.
worth it. No, it's a very good game. It's two games actually.
Whoa, 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, so this is Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which was released only in Japan on the PlayStation 1, I believe.
I think that's right.
Super Nintendo got an adaptation of it, so to
But
speak,
not the same. And then
called
the Turbo Graphics got a version of it.
called
I think.
Dracula X.
Yeah,
but, like,
it was called Dracula X in Japan.
Rondo of
Dang.
Blood was first, I think, playable here in the Castlevania whatever, I can't remember what the package was for PSP, in which it came
That
with
was the first time it was
Mhm.
available.
yeah,
Mhm.
Wow.
as a release in North America, which included a remake of Rondo of Blood, the original Rondo of Blood, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So essentially this package is that, but without the 3D remake of Rondo of Blood, which is not a huge
Okay.
deal because frankly I think the look of that game in retrospect is not great. I'd rather just
Right.
play
That's
the
not
original.
surprising.
The Sprite one probably looks better
Yeah,
anyway.
the Sprite one definitely does.
Perhaps
But they
Had
definitely
some
this
music for that game the first time, for like one of the first games that had that. So it
Yeah.
had like high quality music.
Yeah. So
Sounds good.
the package here though does still the package though here is actually those games pulled from that from those versions of the game. So that's why like a lot of people have been saying like, oh, the Symphony of the Night is not the version that you want, and it's literally because in the remake package that included all those things, they had redone voiceover for Symphony of the Night. So the infamous "What is a man" line is no longer
right.
in there. It is completely rewritten and revoiced. It's funny because the voice acting in Symphony of the Night for a lot of people is still not that good. I think the best voice actor is Alucard, who is voiced in this version by Yuri Lowenthal, if people know that voice actor. But yeah, both Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night I played before pretty extensively. It's an excellent game. It's the origins kind of I mean, obviously Super Metroid is kind of the genesis of this genre of game, but Symphony of the Night was kind of the first place where it was like really perfected and exploded out into a larger scope, the Metroidvania genre.
Hence the Vania in
Yeah.
Metroidvania.
Yeah.
And
I never appreciated the Vania and Metroidvania because Metroid had been that for like 10
yeah,
years.
it's
Did it.
I feel like
so I don't
there's
know why.
yeah, I feel like there's got to be but again, I guess the popularity of Symphony of the Night is what kind of like
Yeah.
makes them
Earned it
share
its
that
moniker.
genre. So that's definitely a really fun game, but also Rondo of Blood, which I had only played, to be honest, on that package when I had it on the PSP long enough to unlock Symphony of the Night in it, is I've come to really, really appreciate Rondo of Blood. Like it is a classic Castlevania game in the sense of like it is very deliberate movement. Your jump arcs you're pretty much like dedicated to them. When you do them, you can't really go back and forth. There's the delay on your whip as it comes out, like classic Castlevania, and you're kind of beholden to sub weapons and picking those up and using those relegated to the hearts that you have. But like the levels look amazing. Like at one point in the game, even though I wasn't like playing it in front of somebody, I was just like, whoa, man, this game is so cool, because like the level design, it was like this one level, in which there was like the background was just full of these candles that were all like, lit and flickering in their cool, pixelated style. And then the foreground had candles in front of it as well, which were doing the same thing. But then like I threw an axe upwards and it clipped one of the top of the candles and it cut it off. And it acted just like the candlesticks that like you can, whip in the castle. And it was just like cool because then like that little area kind of darkened and it was just like, man, this is a really cool game specifically for the time. And the music is amazing, both in Castlevania and Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. Both games feature really, really amazing music. So I'm I think like at first I kind of like resolved to just play through Symphony of the Night and see like and just kind of focus on that. But I think I might go back and forth between them because, first of all, Rondo is a much shorter game, but
it's a direct sequel as well. It's a direct prequel.
Yes, it is technically the game that came right before, storyline wise, timeline wise, before Symphony of the Night.
Red Dead, man. Red Dead 2.
Yeah, exactly. But in fact, in the prologue of Symphony of the Night, you play as Richter killing Dracula. So
at the end of
Rondo of Blood, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
Hence the whole die monster. You don't belong in this world. But I can't remember what he says now. Now he says like, this world would be
big enough for the
better without you, or something like something weird.
Boring.
So yeah, both games are fantastic. It is kind of a bare bones package. Beyond that, it's just those two games. There's nothing really else here to dig into, and specifically the Symphony of the Night. It's weird because technically Rondo's older, but for some reason Symphony of the Night, I feel like with the options and stuff, doesn't age quite as well. The options and a lot of the way that the compressed PlayStation 1 cinematics, which were like all done in CG, like pre-rendered, it just doesn't age quite as well. Like definitely once you're in the game, the sprite work is beautiful, the music is awesome, all the different levels are great, but like
it's the case where like a lot of that era of games are dealing with is that like sprite work ages so much better than
than
3D or pre-rendered stuff, and so most of that game is gonna be still look great because it's mostly sprites, but the parts that aren't are gonna look really weird and out of place and jarring.
Whereas Rondo has these like really dope like in engine pixelated cutscenes going on with like the music going on behind it and stuff, and it's more, the story obviously is more implied than Symphony.
Is that voiced? Is that voiced? Because it wasn't
the thing
voiced.
it's not.
Or it was voiced in Japanese in the original run.
I haven't run into too many voices beyond the opening cutscene, which is actually voice acted in German, which is really weird.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's more accurate to the place, the time and place.
So both those games are awesome. I think the package is well worth it, especially if you've been watching Castlevania on Netflix and you're wanting to play some dope games around that game's universe.
They timed at the same time. They knew.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did literally come out both at the same time.
Planned.
Yeah. The only other
pretty good.
Yeah, the only other game I've been playing was also an old one. I talked about it earlier. I got that Capcom beat 'em up bundle. If you want to talk about a game that has a little bit bundle that has a little bit more punch, literally, it's that one because again, all the art assets and the cool like sound testing and stuff is dope in that game, and it has, I want to say 7 games. They're definitely not as well. They're not as good, I would say, most of them, as the 2 games, including the Castlevania Requiem bundle.
That makes
but
sense.
for example, I just did play Knights of the Round, which, if you want to look at a pretty fair beat 'em up and one that has a lot of dope little accoutrements, that's a really good one. I believe this is from 1994, maybe 1996.
Okay.
And it is just a cool beat 'em up based around the legend of King Arthur and his knights. It's 3 players.
It's only 3 players?
It's 3 players, yeah.
Interesting.
It's 3 players. It has a lot more options. There's actually a defend option in this game. You can actually totally block people's attacks if you
Whoa.
want
That's
to, which
cool.
is crazy for a beat 'em up.
It
I was
is.
gonna say you never see that.
Yeah. And
Is it a side-scrolling beat 'em up?
yes, it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and there's just cooler elements too. Like again, a lot of stuff feels more fair, and it feels weird to talk about, but like, say you'll finish combo on an enemy, knock them down, and then when they get up, they'll go through this kind of like, oh, I'm dizzy animation, which allows you to like actually follow up and like finish them off.
Oh, that's cool.
As opposed to them just like getting up and just being like, I'm gonna do this weird unblockable attack. There's definitely a lot of bullshit in it too, but because
It's still a
was
beat 'em up.
it's
It's a beat 'em
still a
up, and
beat
it's
'em
an
up
arcade.
arcade game.
Yeah.
But it's definitely cool. And another cool aspect of it is that your character actually levels up as you go on through the game, which doesn't do much else beyond like
a number.
yeah, I was gonna say like the appearance of your guy, but it's still cool to like go further in the game and have those level ups happen, which
Yeah.
when you level up you get your health all the way back. And then like, you know, Arthur, like I played through the whole game as Arthur. He goes from kind of like very standard knight looking guy in like a chainmail armor to getting like this, you know, more heavy duty plate armor, and then his sword gets like more ornate, and then his armor turns gold, and then he's got like by the end of the game you've got like this flowing cape, and your sword looks all dope and intricate, and you've got this helmet, and it's just like it gives you a sense that you've actually been on a journey beyond
Right.
any like a typical beat 'em up would have.
I got a bunch of dudes I punched.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's
no, you
cool.
hit him with your sword.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a great little bundle. I would like to actually play it with some people. It does have a full online element, so I could technically just jump online and play with some randos. But yeah,
Beat 'em ups are always more fun with friends next to you.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, I mean, you can play a lot of them, you know, the more modern ones online, but
Mhm.
I feel like
It's
that's
not
not
the same.
in the spirit.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Amber, how's Soul Calibur 6 treating you?
Yeah, Soul Calibur 6 still a fighting game.
Okay, good.
there's-
The rumors
I'm
are
surprised.
true.
Yeah. Still ladies with boobies.
They're adding a new lady with boobies soon.
They are. 2D had just been announced to be a actual character, which is funny because I've run into maybe 2 like character created 2Bs.
Mhm.
Wait, I said 2D. I meant 2B.
It's okay.
2D is that guy from the Gorillas. Not
Oh,
yet
yeah,
in the
you're
game.
right.
Somebody make that guy though, please.
Man, that's my next.
This is
thing.
a pretty perfect. I feel like a pretty perfect fit
Yeah.
for Soul Calibur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Character fits really well. So
But yeah, I will say, there's definitely been a thing where it's like before I was doing okay, like I was like holding my own, like maybe winning some, losing some. Definitely get my ass kicked now. Everyone
Mm.
learned how to play this game. So I've been trying to like learn a little bit more. I've also been switching my character up a little bit. I've been playing mostly Talim, and now I've been trying out Grow because Talim, she's one of the weaker characters, so she doesn't hit
Sexy
very
assassin,
hard.
man.
Yeah, so I went for the sexy emo looking assassin man. But yeah, it's still like there's still a lot of people playing online. Seems like there's still a lot of people enjoying it. I also run into a lot more created characters now, as opposed to just the standard. I would say most of the characters I fight are character
You're
creation.
playing it ranked, right?
Mm.
I play ranked and casual
Okay.
online, but both I see tons of created
Yeah.
characters.
It's weird. It's
So,
just it's weird to me that they'll allow custom characters in ranked. So I mean, I
know.
guess they still play the same, but it's still weird where it's like.
It's
alright.
yeah, it definitely takes like I fought like a certain phase, but like a small woman with like a barbarian outfit, and I was like, oh right, I gotta remember which character you are, like,
Mhm.
and what your
Yeah.
moveset is. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, Soul Calibur, it is and will always be like it's not gonna be like a Street Fighter like we're doing frame perfect stuff over here. I don't know. It's always like taking itself less seriously.
It's weird because
as-
it can be, but also it's like in the end, it's like
Yeah.
just mash would be kind of crazy at some points, and it's like it's fine. It's
Yeah,
just,
true.
You know, you can
I
block
literally
it.
I literally played against a guy who's literally just mashing the same combo over and over again. I'm like, all right, dude.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, so it's still good. Shout outs to the guy I played today who made a God, God, what's his name from Jurassic Park? Whatever Sam Neill's character is, he made that
Dr.
character.
Alan Grant.
Alan Grant. He made an Alan Grant, and that was maybe the funniest thing I've ever.
What kind of
thought.
weapon does
yeah.
Alan Grant use?
He was talky, so he had like the 2 blades and was jumping
That's
around. And I was
weird.
like,
That's pretty weird.
For some reason,
I
I
was
would have
like,
thought like Valdo and they would be all raptor claws. Like he found a bunch more.
found a bunch of raptor
That's a
claws.
great idea.
That'd been great. Just like sexily moving.
Yeah,
Hump in the
Yeah.
air.
So kudos to that guy because that was maybe the funniest.
that's hilarious.
Like, created character I
Yeah,
had fought against.
I played some of that online too, and I actually never played online because I took a while for me.
Oh,
to get
yeah, that's
started.
right.
And I did pretty all right. Like I definitely lost a lot, but I did win.
Yeah.
I did win a couple.
I mean,
Nice.
like the way I usually approach fighting games is like again get comfortable with a character, take them online, start realizing some of the shit that I don't know, and
Yeah.
then kind of
Yeah.
going on and kind of doing like looking up like pro players that
Yes.
play like the character that I play and being like, so what is he doing? And then just
Yeah.
basically trying to copy.
also because Soul Calibur has so many damn moves, it's
Yeah,
kinda
I mean
hard
it's
to
it's
remember.
similar to
So many
Tekken in that
moves.
way. It's similar to Tekken in that way, but also again you will find that there is like bread and butter
There
stuff
definitely
that
is
people
Yes.
There
are
really
using.
is.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
because I definitely
There's kind of variations on that.
Yeah, you definitely like if you play against an Ivy, you're like, oh, like this is like a favorite combo that Ivy players use
Yeah.
or whatever.
Again, you'll find like that move that you fell in love with in training mode that is like,
Yeah.
oh, nobody fucking uses that move. That move is fucking useless.
It takes way too long to wind up, and I get annihilated every single time. Yeah, so I'm still really enjoying it. I go on and play probably almost every day for like an hour, and so just
That's
like
good.
fiddling around, playing around, going in training mode, trying to learn more moves. So
Yeah.
still enjoying it. So I will,
She kicks my butt.
and I still kick Matt's butt. So if I'm getting my butt kicked a lot, that still makes me feel better.
Fair enough.
Get in here. I want to
Gonna
fight
kick
you.
your ass.
I lost like 6 in a row. Come here, I gotta kick someone's ass. Speaking of ass kicking.
I don't know how that really
We
relates,
played
but
Return of Odin,
The
which has
Return-
no ass kicking in it whatsoever.
There's a
the
lot of dead
Return of the
people in it.
Oberdin. Lots of people got their ass kicked.
Their
in
ass
Return of the
kicked to
Oberdin.
death.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you guys have seen of this game. I do not want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Here's the weird thing. I played this game like 3 years ago.
Yeah, apparently
you mentioned
did.
that.
There was a yeah. So
This is from Lucas Pope, the guy
Yeah.
who made Papers, Please.
So on itch.io, I went down there. I went on a rabbit hole and just downloaded a bunch of itch.io games. And one of them was this. 'Cause I was like, oh, cool. That guy made Papers, Please. I'm going to download it. And it was like the least functioning version of a game. I was like, cool. You could spawn in on a
Yeah,
ship.
3 years ago.
I think it was
Um,
just wasn't just like the graphics test basically. It was just like
It was like a
does the
graphics
ship-
test and like you could rewind time sort of thing. And it's like,
Oh,
that's neat. But there was like
I don't think
nothing
you can
else.
actually do that. I don't think you
And
can
I
do
was
that.
like,
in
oh,
games, so-
interesting. Well, I guess this game's not done. And now I see it coming out. And I'm like, I really recognize that art style because it's a very distinct art style.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like an old computer. In fact, you can actually filter through several different filters of old computer style.
Yeah, they're all it's like Macintosh or like Commodore 64. So they're all
It's kind
like
of weird
labeled.
because none of those have 3D images at all. So
No, I
No.
mean it's all about monitor style, like visual, not
Yeah.
not going for the graphical representation of those
No.
computers. It is just much to go for which kind of filter do you want to put this.
Yeah.
yeah.
It is a 3D game, and it's definitely a game that you wouldn't be able to get in any
No.
other way.
It's just got that like that
Um,
style about it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So the game itself, Tetra. Oh my gosh, our dog. More stuff on the couch.
Okay, put it back in her crate. So I'll continue for Matt. So this game is kind of the premise is this ship, the Obra Dinn, disappeared like I think it was like 6 years ago. Like was supposed to come back from South Africa, never came back. Oh, East Asia. Sorry, Matt corrected me. And
Same
it did not.
difference.
Same difference. And it no one's heard from it. It suddenly appears just like I can't remember where, but like kind of out of the blue. So you're this insurance collector that's kind of going on to try to piece together what's happened. But you've also been given a book from like a kind of unknown source that says like I've started to piece together some of what's happened, but I need you to fill in the holes for me. And you're given this pocket watch, which the pocket watch is kind of the main mechanic. So you go on the ship and you'll find like the bones of a body. Use the pocket watch and you will go back to the moment when that person died.
Ooh.
So, but it's not animated. It's like a still frame.
Oh.
So like the first one that you run into, it's a guy who got shot. So like it'll be the still frame of him getting shot, like the guy who's shooting him. There's a guy next to him, and so you can walk around it. You can move around. It's all in a 3D space, but it's just like this one still image.
But there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes into that.
Yes.
Because what happens is it'll play the dialogue that happened just before this scene. So the first ones are very obvious. You basically, like, you'll see the scene play out, and then it'll say, like, who was this person, how did they die, and if somebody else killed them, who was the person that killed them.
Yeah, who's responsible.
And so you'll get this little book, and it basically turns into murder mystery Sudoku. Because you have this big crew ledger with all the names of the people on the ship, what their nationality was, what position they were in the ship, like what their job was on the ship. And then you have like a big picture book of like a portrait of like most of the people on the ship. There's like a couple different pictures that are kind of like stitched together to fill out the whole crew. And there's 60 people total. And it's like, okay, well, in the first scene, like it starts out very obvious of just like, I'm not going to say what the first scene is, but like the first scene is like, it's like, hey, Jeff, what are you doing over there? Shut it. I'm going to shoot you. Boom. And then and then you see, and so it's like, oh, Jeff. Okay, so Jeff shot that guy. So let's look through the list. Oh, there's a Jeff. Okay, so he was the one he's the one who killed. We don't know who he killed. So we'll have to find that out later. And then like you go a little bit further into the ship, and there's another body, and then like the scene there is like, it's like, Jeff, why did you kill John? I'm just so upset with John. Like so it, like
the voice acting's better.
It starts out the voice acting is a lot better. The
Don't
voice
open that door.
It starts out like that kind of stuff of like, okay, well, this is really easy. But then it's like later on, but like as you get deeper and deeper, it's like there's way more people in each scene. So the first scenes that you find are the very end, the very last deaths on the entire ship are the first ones that you find. And then it goes all over the place from there. It's just, it bounces back and forth between
different scenes, different
timelines, and all that kind of stuff.
And one of the mechanics that kind of gets introduced is first you can jump to the scene where someone died once you find their body, like on the ship, their bones on the ship. But then it kind of adds another layer of depth where you
go back in time to a memory.
Yeah, you go back in time to a memory, and then there will be someone dead in that memory, and then you can scan their body in that memoy, and then jump back again
inside. So like you're like inceptioning, like going levels deeper.
So that's how you'll find a lot more like bodies. And
bodies that might not physically be on the ship anymore. Let's say.
Yes.
I guess my two questions would be one. I mean, I might have missed this already. Was there anybody alive when the ship came back in? No, nobody.
Everybody
was come back in when was driving.
Or did they just find it out afloat?
It's like the very first thing you see is like the Oberdin lost at sea, 1803 or something like that, and it's like 1809 or 1808 or something like that when the game takes place. And so it's like we found it. It's like drifting off the coast.
Yeah.
And it just like drifted into shore.
Yeah. So no one's left aboard it. Everyone.
It's been a good long time. So it's like long enough for just like
only bones.
And secondly, and this might be spoiler territory, so tell me shut up if it is. But is there something like supernatural happening on the ship?
I will not say yes or no to that question. What I will say is things go crazy real fast.
Stuff happens on that ship.
So it is not just a case of like
everybody was a dick.
There was definitely a moment where
stuff
Matt and I went
multiple times.
There was one where it was kind of like the first time something had happened where we jumped into a memory and we're like,
holy shit.
Like stuff went on like,
and that happens multiple times. Like there was definitely the first time that happened where they're like, oh man, this is insane.
Yeah.
But then like there's other times where like you're just like, oh shit, this guy was in a scene like 5 minutes ago and he was like so for instance, here's one where it's like there's a scene where a bunch of the crewmen are gathered around this guy who's in the bed. Something's wrong with him. We don't know what's wrong, and that guy's dying, right? But then in that same scene, right, it plays all the dialogue that happened right before that moment. There are guys in the room that have nothing to do with that scene. They're not crying around the bed, and they're over on another. They're at a table in the other, like across the room playing poker. But when you go to the scene, they're still there, like, and that like makes a difference because you can like focus on any character in the scene, and it'll show you their picture in the in the book and like show you who they are. It doesn't mean anything if you don't know their name, right? The whole point is you're putting names to faces and things like that. But it's like, oh, dude, these guys were just speaking Chinese a few minutes ago. That means they're Chinese. That means these guys are the Chinese guys. Like, and it's like you just start to like do stuff like that of like this guy is dying over like in this scene over here. These guys are over here, but these other guys like over up the stairs here are like carting a body out. What's going on with that? And like other things are like happening in the scenes. It doesn't feel like it's every scene is like a scripted death. It feels like a lot of things were happening on the ship at once.
Or there's literally there's a series where there was one kind of scene playing out, and then below deck there was a completely separate scene, and we kept on going back into different memories, and each time you could literally jump between both those scenes and you were seeing different stuff play out, which was cool. And so there's a lot of the book or the game is divided up into chapters where it's like, oh, this chapter's, you know, like I forget what the names are, but like, oh, this chapter's called this chapter's called this chapter's called Escape. And like, and so there's like these little kind of self-contained or these little stories that happen within. So then you can see like stuff play out within those stories. Like, oh, this person was there and I saw this guy whisper to that guy. So that makes sense why later on in that same scene, they're like doing this or whatever.
Yeah. And it gets to be like where you start, the game will tell you when it's given you enough information to figure out who a crew person is.
That's nice.
But it does not tell you what that information is or how you would know that.
But that's nice enough to know that you have the information, because there's a lot of times in a lot of puzzle games it's like, can I solve this yet?
Like, what did I miss? Like,
and it's like,
the game is very clear on its rules, and it actually, like, the first time all this stuff happens, especially the very first thing, it like explains things to you.
Yeah.
It also does a really neat thing to prevent you from cheating and just like filling in everything. It only locks in these names once you have 3 completely correct.
Ooh.
So once you have 3 names, how they died, and who killed them, then if all 3 of those correct, then it will lock in, and they'll change from like a scribbled, like in the book, like written, like fake script, to being like printed on the book page, like, and that means you've got that person.
Yeah. So it prevents you from like being like, I don't know, we can just go through all the guys on this ledger. Locks it in. So so there is at least feedback, so you know if you're getting these right or not, but then it also prevents you from
so if you do 3 and you're like, all right, I got them, and you do 3 and you're like, oh, it didn't tell me, it didn't say, like, because it plays this really nice like musical sting. It's like dun dun, and it like locks in each of the names, and it's really detailed.
It's really good.
Feels good, bro.
Yeah. So it's Matt and I were talking, it reminds us a lot of like kind of a more complicated Her story, where it's like you're getting this story like you're
out of order.
You're getting the story out of order, and you're kind of piecing things together as you go along and trying to use what clues you find at different places to like then figure out, you know, who died of what or who was killed by whom. So it does a lot of that, and it feels it's one of those games that like it makes you feel very smart. Like like when you figure something out, you're like, oh snap! Like I've solved your riddle, game. I know what I'm doing.
It's definitely one of those things. Like as an example of that, it's like it's not really a spoiler, but like a tip I'll say is that like if a guy has a big hat, he's probably an important person on the ship. He's probably not just a seaman. You know, he's probably like an important person. And then it's like you see a later scene, it's like, oh, dude, this guy's walking next to that guy with the big hat, and he's like holding his food for him. That must mean he is like the assistant to that guy. Like that kind of thing is like really like, and the game doesn't tell you that. The game doesn't point that out. It's just like
Something.
it's just like,
Sets it
oh,
up
if you
figure it out.
can, yeah, if you
Yeah.
can guess that thing, then great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
That sounds
Definitely
really
pulling
cool.
yeah, definitely pulling all my knowledge from like how ship organizations work based on Master and Commander, because I'm like, that is my only like reference
God, what a
point.
good movie.
But it helps. I know that movies. I mean, this game makes me want to watch that movie
That movie's
again
so
because
good.
the
it's
game,
like set in a similar kind of time. So you have all these like
yeah, it's
leadership
almost the exact same time.
and,
Yeah.
So
The
it's-
game does give you a glossary of naval
Yes.
terms in case you do not know what all the positions on the ship are and what
Yes.
sections of the ship are and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it does tell you that.
Mhm. But it is very fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's like
Bosun.
it's
Bosun is
Bosun,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is a bosun.
The boat Swain.
Boats.
Uh,
Yeah, boat swing.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's very murder mystery esque, but you're solving like 60 murder mysteries and trying to
Yeah.
solve them all. So it's really cool. It's very
Or maybe not everybody got murdered. Maybe. Who can
Yeah.
say?
One of the things is that there is one of the first things you see is if you go and see like, oh, how do they die? There's a whole list of different ways, and man, some of those ways people can die are
Yeah, it doesn't ask you to just like type it in. It's like these are all the ways people can die. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, those are some nasty ways to die.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a carbon monoxide leak on the entire boat.
on the
And they
boat.
just started
on his
losing
wooden
their mind
boat.
and seeing things.
they lost their minds.
Maybe the boat went through a portal to hell.
Quick, I'm gonna stay the
Then-
night on the boat.
You should sit that in the boat and see if you see any weird things.
This sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, I do.
It's a really
cool.
cool
The fact that
game.
it's like similar to Her Story, which there hasn't really been a game like Her Story in a while.
No.
Yeah,
Um,
I find it definitely is more engaging than Her Story. I liked Her Story quite a lot, but
Mhm.
it's
It
definitely a
seems
lot
like the
more
next step.
engaging
Yeah,
than
it's
Her Story.
like Matt saying it's like a murder Sudoku is kind of a good
Yeah.
a good
Mm.
analogy.
Because you'll definitely be like,
Murder Sudoku.
yeah, you'll definitely be like, oh, I know that guy. He's the guy that just died. Okay, I know him.
How about
But
murder
I don't know,
Picross?
and I know what the weapon is or whatever, but I don't know who this other person. And
Yeah.
so I can't fully solve this thing yet. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, or like I know how this guy died, but I don't know what his name is or what he's doing. And then oh, he's in a later scene, and someone mentions his name. It's like all that kind of stuff. So it is really cool.
Yeah.
It's
a very cool game.
yeah. And Amber's right. It makes you feel really smart when you get stuff right.
Yeah.
I like games that make you feel smart.
Yeah,
yeah.
so you will like this game.
I highly recommend.
Hmm
All right.
All right.
Murder.
Man, we have talked for a long time just
Yes,
about the
we
games
have.
today, so let's move on to the news.
Luckily,
News.
it's totally a light news week.
Yeah, luckily not much happened this week, except for everything.
Well, here's the thing: is that like you have the Super Smash Brothers in here.
That
but-
happened literally today as we're
Yes.
recording. That was the Smash Direct, which is, I think, being touted as the final Smash Direct.
Oh,
I
So
think I've
they-
heard that
I
too.
didn't-
They announced
done.
some new characters. They announced some new modes and some new mechanics. But I guess
Yes.
we'll just hit the biggins. So let's talk about the new characters. They announced one Echo Fighter, one new fighter, and then one post-release DLC.
Free
fighter.
DLC
Free
if you
DLC.
buy the game before January 30th or something like that. I wanna
Yes.
Is Ken an Echo Fighter?
Ken is an
Yeah,
Echo Fighter of Ryu.
He's an Echo
Okay.
Fighter to
He's
review,
I mean, just like the other Echo Fighters have differences.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right.
hence the
But
term.
He's
yeah,
handsome. though.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
handsome, Ken.
But yeah,
Waluigi's in the game already. He's an assist trophy.
he's been handsome.
don't worry.
He's handsome for the first time in forever. It seems like
Yeah, Ken no longer ugly.
no longer ugly. Thank God.
The chat wants to know. The
Nintendo.
chat wants to know where Waluigi is.
He's an assist trophy.
He's in
Like
there, don't
I'm
worry.
just like at this point, I don't. Want,
I don't care.
I don't
never
want
cared.
people.
I
no,
I'll
I
be
just don't
honest.
want people like. I'm
to be
f-
happy.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
if that's what it takes, yes. I don't want people to be happy. I'm just saying that, like, you've seen where he is. He's a fucking assist trophy. Now stop asking where he is. He's an assist
That's where
trophy.
he belongs.
I don't. I mean, like,
Made a
yeah,
big
like,
point to show him as an assist trophy to say, hey, guess what? He's an assist trophy, guys. He's not in the game.
yeah, I've never, I have never really like. If he's in the game as a playable character, fine. If he's not, whatever. Like, I
That's
really
an
don't. I really don't
Waluigi
get the
fan.
dumb hype.
I do.
Sure.
Waluigi's tight.
He's fun. He's a fun character. I get it. I get that.
Yeah,
but-
no, I like Waluigi as a character. Yes,
I'm gesturing to my,
As a
my,
character?
my
Gestures to his-
shrine
Bowser
to
as an Echo
Waluigi.
Fighter of
Peach.
actually Dee.
Yeah, Richter
Weird.
is Echo Fighter of Simon. The Lucina is a Echo Fighter of Marth, I believe.
I think you're right.
Etc. etc. Dark Pit, etc.
Mm.
They also announced Incineroar as a new
Yeah.
character. He is
I had it took me a good
I had to dig in
few
my
seconds
brain.
to be like, what? This is
What
this
is
from?
this?
He
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
is
Pokemon.
my favorite Pokemon from the Pokemon Sun and Moon, mostly because he's a wrestler. He's a wrestler kitty.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
very much a wrestler.
People like that wrestle.
He's a wrestler kitty. He looks like he has some cool moves. They show him in the trailer. Well, we'll talk about that later, I guess. And then last but not least, the final character that they showed and announced, which will be a post-release DLC, is Piranha
Piranha
Plant?
Plant.
Someone who should be an assist trophy. Anyway.
Piranha Plant. Not even Petey Piranha, although he does
Not
appear
even a
as
piranha.
he does appear
Yeah,
as
The final
his
smash,
final
right?
smash. No, just literally a piranha plant in a pot or a pipe,
He's got
depending
little
on your
weird
skin.
legs.
And so yeah, a lot of people scratching their heads, but also I think he looks really neat in this. So that's cool. They also announced a new story mode,
Yes,
similar
oh,
I'd
yes,
say
they did.
to
Subspace.
Oh,
Subspace
yeah.
Emissary called World of Light. There was a really neat trailer we'll talk about again later with
Yeah, you're
that.
right.
And then they also talked a little bit about the online, as well as there's apparently going to be there's a social app for Smash in there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As great as Nintendo's apps are.
I was gonna say, judging by
Yeah.
past Nintendo apps, I don't know how this is gonna be.
Smash World. I will say I was very worried about this game first hearing about it and being like, oh man, this is gonna be Wii U, but like the same. It's like, no, this is its own thing.
Yeah,
now,
this
like,
is
completely
its own
thing.
thing. Yeah, they really
Yeah.
it is a new game. But yeah, so there was like a lot of talk about the online and how they encourage you to utilize a wired
Yeah.
LAN connection when
Yes.
playing online.
They have a picture of the adapter. It's
Oh,
Yeah,
like
so
man.
there's like a LAN adapter coming for
Oh gosh, Nintendo, stop.
Switch.
what was the spirits mode?
Yes, and there's
got a
now this
spirits
new
mode, yeah.
spirits mechanic.
Spirits is like that's the one where everyone was like posting Miller.
Yeah,
it was the
everybody
picture
was-
of the ghost. The
Man,
ghost.
yeah.
Yeah, they're saying, why are we here? Just
Why
to
are we-
suffer.
There's also Snipper Clips. There's gonna be a spirit, a ghost.
Yeah,
spirit.
basically
why not?
any like minor character from various Nintendo
Anything
properties
from a
or
Nintendo
whatever
thing, yeah.
is
I mean,
is in
that
there.
version of Miller wasn't even on a Nintendo system.
You're right.
No, they have stuff with.
No, I know they do, but like it's really just it's really amusing that. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so these are gonna be like little, basically kind of like little buffs or like changes that you can add to existing characters via these spirits. Like each of them will have a unique trait and stuff that you can attach,
Yeah.
combine and attach to your character to make them unique.
Another thing about the DLC, we mentioned that they're gonna have the first character be free, but it sounds like they're gonna get downloadable characters through 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So that means
and
at
paid.
least
Yes.
at least a full year of new DLC coming through.
Yeah, it says here after that characters sold as let's see, the first of these characters, Piranha Plant, will be free to download. That pre-order, let's see. After that, characters will be sold as bundles with one fighter, one new stage, and several music tracks, all for $5.99.
So I can hook it up.
Or $25 for everything, I
$25
think.
for a season pass.
Or I can walk around with my my Switch, so I can listen to my sweet tunes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
I mean,
Oh,
I know,
sweet, sweet
like,
tune.
when I got Ryu in Smash for 3DS, I think he came with his stage and the cool Street Fighter music.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, this game looks really cool.
It's a month out.
It does look neat.
Looks like more Smash, but it also looks like there's a lot of fun new stuff in it.
Yeah.
Seems like
It looks
something
like
fun
it
with
is packed. Speaking of games like Red Dead that are like, how much time did it take to create this? There's a lot of things in this game. Like,
Yeah.
I know.
this also seems like a very full, very busy game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it is crazy to see like how many unique things they did with the animations, and of course like bringing back characters that haven't even been in the game since like Melee,
Melee.
like
Yeah.
coming back, like everybody coming back. Like it definitely seems like like a ton of time went into it, because it's like, again, we're not just even talking about like just a port. Like there's a lot of unique
Yeah. Is this
work
the
that
last
went
Smash
into it.
Brothers? Is this the final?
Is this Smash the service?
Honestly,
Is
maybe
this
it'll be
is
Smash
this
Bros.
the final Smash? Is that what you're saying?
Final
Oh
Smash.
no.
Yeah, I've seen some people kind of hypothesizing that might be the case for this one.
Wouldn't surprise me, honestly. It'd be like Street Fighter 5, right?
Yeah.
The final Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, that worked out
it's
well.
they're never gonna.
I mean,
They're
I
never
think
gonna
they
do
could
it.
stand to go on a break after Street Fighter 5.
I mean.
Oh word.
Give it a little time.
Alright.
All right.
Anyway,
Sony.
We'll talk more about that in a little bit because there's other things that we have to talk about.
Like the
regarding-
PlayStation.
so
Regarding,
if
uh,
remember that a little while ago, PlayStation Classic was announced, and they were already taking pre-orders for this thing.
They're like, we've got 4 games. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, they announced the rest of the games,
Someone want to read
They
these off?
did.
and they suck.
They seem
No,
Just Ricardo has a
they're
strong
great.
opinion about this.
fine.
they're
I know
okay. They're fine,
thing, that's
but
for sure.
also
They're
let's
fine.
just read down the list.
It's
Here,
Okay.
alphabetical order.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, you want me to?
The US
Yeah,
one.
do it.
too.
Okay, sure. Battle Arena Toshinden.
Toshinden,
Toshinden.
which I've heard of, but I don't know what
regarded,
this
I don't-
game is.
Cool Borders
I've never
2.
played it.
Which I've played. I probably don't think you want to play more Cool
That's probably a
Borders.
game that has not aged great.
No.
Destruction Derby.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 7, which was already announced.
Cool.
I don't like it.
Grand Theft Auto.
The original.
Oh,
Original
okay.
one.
Yes,
interesting.
which is like
Top down,
down,
Yeah.
weird
kinda
Grand
weird
Theft
game
Auto,
to go
not
back
the
to,
Grand
yeah.
Theft Auto that everybody
Thinks of.
Thinks
knows.
of.
Yep.
Yeah,
Intelligent Cube.
I've never even heard
Oh,
of that.
is. Jumping Flash.
Jumping Flash, which we already
Yep.
knew
Metal
about.
Gear Solid.
That's an interesting
Okay.
one. That's a
Yeah,
good
it's a
one.
good
And
choice.
that's
That's a
probably
solid
good.
get.
That
That's
was
a
a game
solid
that really changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Mr. Driller.
Solid.
A lot of people big fans of Mr. Driller,
Oddworld Abe's Odyssey.
which
Okay.
they
Not bad.
recently did do
Kinda
that
get that. I
Yeah,
guess.
I remember playing
That
that game. Those were the few ones I
re-release.
remember. Rayman.
Rayman, the
Rayman?
original.
Rayman,
Rayman.
the original.
Did you say Rayman?
Everybody loves Raymond.
I got no arms or legs.
Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Starring 20 million Ice Age
That one's
movies.
solid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Resident Evil's a good
original
one. I would have put
Resident Evil.
2, but anyway. Revelations Persona.
So this is like
What is
for
This is OG.
yeah.
Wait, this is not even. Which one is that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But this
It's
is
not Shin Megami
definitely-
Tensei, is it? Is it Shin Megami Tensei?
It just says
have
Revelations
it out
Persona,
here.
I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that's anything.
Okay.
Ridge Racer Type 4.
which we already knew about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ridge Racer.
Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
That's a
Pretty
good
It's a
one.
pretty good one.
That's a good one.
Siphon Filter.
Which again, another
remember
game that I
classic.
think has a lot of
Yeah.
nostalgia, but I don't know if how well that's aged.
Tekken 3.
We knew
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, we knew about that one. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which is okay. All right, sure.
Uh-huh.
Twisted Metal. Good one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then Wild Arms.
Okay,
which we knew about.
so Revelations Persona is, I think, the first Shin Megami Tensei Persona game.
Okay, that's just how it came out
So
here. or
here's
something.
my thing: is I feel like this has a lot of besides Cool Borders 2. Like a lot of this is like we have the first one of these Resident Evil, Rayman,
Oh, right.
Twisted Metal, like, and it's like, well, what about the second ones? The ones that are a little more iconic, the ones that like are
Right.
like
Yeah.
refine the controls a little bit.
I mean, they have Tekken. They at least had the decency to put in Tekken 3.
yeah, that's true.
Right.
Well, they could put Tekken 2.
No-
Tekken 2 's good,
Tekken 2 is good.
No analog stick.
which is no analog
No-
stick, so
No games that use the analog
But
stick.
yeah, no, the
therefore-
original
Everybody's
Twisted
game.
Metal, also not Twisted Metal 2.
yeah.
Yes,
it's like,
which was the more liked one.
it's kind of strange.
I
choice.
don't know. It's just such a weird list. I feel like Tom Clancy's
Yeah.
Rainbow Six sticks out so weirdly on here.
For me, it
Right.
doesn't because I feel like that's the first time those type of games really started coming out. And I feel like
yes, but I
throwing
just feel
one
like
in
that's
there-
not at all the version you want to play.
No, well, that's how I feel about all these, really, to be honest.
Well, no,
Like,
I mean, like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII obviously is
Metal Gear
classic.
Solid.
It's also weird
It's
because
pretty-
like they're
Metal Gear
making
Solid.
people were commenting like, "Where's Spyro?" And it's like, well, they're making that remake.
making a
A
remake.
lot of people
Yeah.
were like, no Crash, no Spyro,
And
but
Resident
like.
yeah,
Evil-
but it's
They
like
That's
just made
kind of the
remakes.
weird. That's kind of the weird like space though that this thing lives in though. Because
yeah, that's why this
Yeah.
thing doesn't never made sense to me from the jump, right? Like,
I mean, you could technically argue that like Nintendo has put out some of their stuff, so the NES Classic and the Super NES were a little odd. But this one, I think, because a lot of these have just come out with remakes on modern consoles, they're
yeah,
even strange.
But like a lot of
Yeah.
people were pointing out that there was no Tomb Raider, which is weird.
Oh
Yeah.
right, I didn't
And a lot of people are also saying that the Japanese version of it has a different lineup, which is
Mhm.
true. But they're
yes,
saying that
they
it's
have different games.
so let's. Oh yeah, and there's also like no Ape Escape on here either.
Well,
Yeah,
you,
we-
you
That's
need
too
analogs. You
sick.
need
Oh yeah,
analog.
you're right. You need analog sticks. I'm a
That's
dumb.
not a. You can't
So
substitute
the
that one.
Japanese lineup is. I'll read this one. It's got Arc the Lad, and Arc the Lad 2. It's got Armored Core, Ballerina to Shinden again, Devil Dice. I don't know. Final Fantasy 7, G Darius, Gradius Gaiden, Intelligent Cube again, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Parasite Eve, which is a cult classic for the PlayStation 1. Persona, for some reason here they just call it Persona.
Yeah.
Resident Evil, not director's cut, I guess. Also, it shouldn't be called Biohazard. Anyway, Ridge Racer Type 4, Saga Frontier, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms.
So that's the thing is I never heard any of them.
So that's a
Like all the ones that were added.
see.
on.
I've heard of
Arc the
Arc.
Lad
I've
for
heard Arc the
sure.
Lad. I've heard
Yeah.
of obviously Armored Core, Gradius
Right.
as well in there. So I don't know. It's like like a lot. It's obviously based on which games were more popular, depending on country, specifically
Yeah.
at the
Right.
time of when they were released.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It's
but
just,
it does feel tough to like. Yeah, I feel like the PlayStation probably has a better library than the N64 does, but I feel like the N64 has a more iconic library.
Mhm.
If that makes any
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
I feel like they could be able to get.
the-
They would
the
be able to get
PlayStation-
most of those too because it's small
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
they owned most of those games.
Yeah,
I
the
feel
ones
like
you remember are good Nintendo ones.
Sony ran into the same. This is not a 1-to-1, but Sony ran into the same kind of problem when they tried to make Sony All Stars their
Right.
Super Smash
You're
Bros.
right.
clone. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
right.
not even that the game was terrible to play. It's just
Remember
that like it
Big
just didn't
Daddy?
have the same like. Nintendo has this star power that I feel like Sony doesn't. Like Sony has
Yeah.
been very popular, made way more money than Nintendo did during that era and the PlayStation 2 era and the PlayStation 4 era. But like it just feels like they don't have the like
but it's like
the
there's
iconic icons that you like think of that
but
time.
there's
you
like
know what I
no
mean?
there's like no Parappa, which I mean
Mhm.
again.
Yeah,
there-
That had a
Parappa would
remake
be
as
great.
well.
There's no
So
Parappa. There's
that had a recent
a
remake.
lot of people
so-
were saying Tomba was another one that they were like,
Oh,
"Where's
right.
Tomba?" You know,
Never
no
forget.
Brave Fencer Musashi or like some other type games. But I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's $100, man.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
lot.
$100. That's again, it's $100
It's more
bucks,
expensive
and I
than-
feel
yeah, than
like,
the PlayStation, the SNES or NES
and I
Classic.
feel like maybe a quarter of these games are still good games
Yeah.
to play, are still like
Yeah.
fun and good games that hold up.
I'm sure this would sell okay, especially for the holidays.
Oh yeah, for sure. People will buy this
So,
thing, but
yeah.
also I'm just like,
All right, let's get to the real controversy though this week.
Oh gosh, This might-
Netflix.
this might actually
Has
be the
shown
worst.
off the new makeup test for Henry Cavill as Geralt.
So they announced that he was going to
In
be playing
Witcher.
Geralt a while ago,
a while ago.
Yeah.
which
Everyone was kind of like,
Yeah,
no
which is
one,
like-
no one was
oh,
over,
okay, that's terrible. Everyone's like,
no one
might
was,
be
no one
okay.
was over positive.
Yeah.
I feel like it was an interesting choice. Like Henry Cavill's a
Yeah.
fine enough actor, and he's certainly a
like-
handsome dude. But like, I don't know.
I think I would have preferred an unknown actor, to be honest. 'cause I
Yeah,
feel like I'm- 'cause
yeah.
I'm- I
Yeah.
feel like
see
already I'm-
Superman with wig.
Kind of like,
Yeah,
kind of like
that-
Lord of
the
the
problem.
Rings. style, how very few of those guys like were very
Yeah.
super well known at the
Yeah.
time.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the most well known was probably
Ian McKellen, maybe.
Ian
Ian
McKellen.
McKellen.
Elijah
Well,
Wood
sure.
could have been up there too. He had a successful child acting
he had a
career.
child acting career. He was in the
Sean Bean.
Faculty.
He
But
was in
Sean
The
Bean
Good
is
Son.
literally always just the guy that dies in.
But even then, he
various
Yeah,
was-
but he was
things.
in stuff.
But
He
even
was
back then,
known.
He was in GoldenEye.
They had chosen
Yeah.
successful actors, but they were not
Brendan
like,
James.
but they were not like superstars back in the day.
Yes.
Even Ian McKellen and
No.
Sean Bean,
For me.
as big as they are, I think in 1998 or 7 when they cast those people, they weren't superstars. Like
Yeah.
Ian McKellen was
Right.
not a big superstar in 1997. Like,
Right.
and
He was Magneto.
he was not at that point. Not when they cast him.
Well, by the time the movie came out,
Yeah, by the time the movie
Yeah.
came out, he was.
It was
But
awesome.
yeah. So that's the interesting thing is that like this is like I can't get away from just seeing Henry Cavill.
Oh man.
It's
and
probably
that
because the wig is bad.
The wig is.
The
yeah.
wig is
So
really
basically,
bad.
all they show is they have the little what is that called?
Christopher Lee.
The clapper?
Sam is right. That Christopher Lee was a well-known actor.
Yeah, he was well known.
There's a few.
Oh yeah,
They
Christopher
have the
Lee,
little
yeah.
clapper, and then they have, and this is actually something that I think I registered, but didn't. I just
Realize?
realized it now watching that GIF over and over again. So Henry Cavill kind of saunters up to the camera, and then he kind of has like a weird like, kind
He's-
of
I
like.
can't, I can't tell what he's trying to do. Is he trying to smirk? Is he trying to
Camera's
like? Your camera went off. Andrew.
I have no clue why.
Oh,
no.
But well, technically,
Just
there's.
a
But
pirate.
yeah, he kind of just does like a weird like, I'm here sort of thing.
Yeah, he just
No, he drinks.
He looks like
He drinks a thing.
No,
and as
but
soon
then
as-
he does after that,
Yeah,
after
he does
doing that.
so the best. Yeah, the he looks like an actor who has not been given a direction of what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like he looks like an actor who's like, all right, go walk up to the camera,
And
look
just
at the
sigh.
camera for like 2 seconds, then drink your potion. And so he's like, okay, but what do I do when I'm looking at the camera? All right, let's go. We're rolling. Ready? 3. Okay, and he's like, okay, I'm walking up. just like, what am I gonna do? What am I do? He looks like an actor who does not have he just doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing.
But yeah,
And-
like
Yeah.
the wig, the wig is just like too
It's too
clean
wig.
and like slick, and
it
but
doesn't look attached to his head.
yeah, it looks kind of fake. And then, yeah, flashbacks to Nick Cage and the Superman screen test. Yes, exactly. And then like his eyes don't look right. Like he just doesn't look comfortable or right as the
Yeah,
character.
Yeah.
comfortable is a good word.
And also, a lot of people were saying like he doesn't have a beard, and that makes him look weird. But that's
But
how
like
he was
Witcher
in the
1
books.
and Witcher 1 he didn't have
You
a
don't have beard, yeah,
either
and the
in
eye
first-
stuff
Yeah.
is apparently only.
And
in
the eye stuff
games.
is from the games. The scars are apparently from the games.
So a lot of stuff you know
um,
common loves from the games.
Yeah, I mean this
basically.
is not based off the games at all. This
Yes,
is based
the,
off the
the
books
author
completely,
probably wants you to know very well that it's not
Yeah.
based off those
we
damn
know,
games
we
that
know.
took
That's kind of what I
the
was
money
thinking.
from them.
I was gonna say just because he doesn't look like because he looks like this, it makes me feel more like okay, yeah, this is a Netflix drama, fantasy show. You know, like it doesn't
other
feel like
thing-
Witcher. Like we know Witcher is, but this is like if anyone showed me this screen test from anyone else, whoa, I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, that's sure is a screen test.
Yeah.
But now I know it's a Witcher. It's like I'm gonna judge it a little harsher. But I think
Yeah,
right
the
now-
other thing here is that like the sorry, Amber is trying to figure out what's going on with her mic.
Sorry.
You're
Or
messing
her
it.
camera, I
Oh
should
no, the
say.
streams. It's fine.
Ah,
We got
the
emergency here. We got
stream.
emergency streams.
Streams.
Yeah, I
There
was
we
gonna
go,
say
we're
we
fine.
got the 2-person thing.
Okay. Oh, it's coming.
Oh,
back.
God.
I gotta swap it back. All right.
No one listening to the podcast is gonna understand what the heck is going on with this.
Man.
Sorry, my camera's broken.
Oh, no,
try
camera's
a different app that
broken.
uses the camera really quick, just see
Okay.
if it works in that.
I'm
Will do.
Anyway,
Oh, now I hear double.
Real
Anyway,
quick, the other thing is like his clothes are really clean. Like his face is like really clean.
Yeah,
Not
it's just
you know,
very-
it doesn't look fantasy. It looks like I mentioned on Twitter. It looks like
Cosplay.
like a 90s or 80s fantasy.
Yes.
movie
yeah,
where,
or
like,
like
they're just,
like some of the tweets.
like, these are props that just came out of the prop department, just brand new.
some
like,
of the tweets here that make fun of like one of them shows like Fabio, and I'm like he totally does look like the guy in costume you get for the cover of the paperback that's on the shelf.
Yeah,
Yep.
the
He doesn't-
romance novel.
He does not look like.
He's been through some shit.
Yeah, he's been through some shit or lived in a world. He just looks like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Again-
and who knows? Maybe this will look better when you mix it in with the rest of their sets and
Maybe.
design
And-
and all
also
that
maybe
kind of
they'll,
stuff.
And
maybe
ult-
they'll take this feedback and be like, oh, okay.
And ultimately, maybe the show will be, and maybe there's, even if he looks bad, maybe the show will be great. Maybe the show will
Yeah.
be excellently written.
But
and he'll be great.
this is not a good first step.
Yes.
This is not a good
Winning
entry
hearts and
into the
minds.
Exactly.
into what this is going for. So
I'm not
Yeah.
convinced yet. But anyway.
let's see.
This is just a little
speaking
funny
of
story.
bad first steps.
Oh, yeah.
So they
into
did
a-
have.
into a space.
So Bethesda did finally drop that Fallout 76 beta for. so I
Yes.
think it's. I don't know who it's open to. I guess people who've
I
signed
think
up
it's people
for
who
it.
pre-ordered the game.
And some
and
who
signed up.
pre-ordered the game. And I've heard mixed things about it.
Me too.
Currently, it's
Mixed things.
So
Makes you want to
alright.
skip it, as I did with the other Fallout game 4. Fallout 4.
But the funny thing is
One of the things that I've heard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the-
This tell the glitch. Tell the story.
So
of
the
this
funny
glitch,
thing
and I'll
is
tell another
that
glitch I heard.
people who are attempting to download the game on PC, there was, I guess, a bug with the launcher that could lead to the entirety of the 50 gigabyte game that you just downloaded to just get deleted, to just kill,
gone.
to just kill itself, essentially. Let's
If you have a
see.
data cap, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks
Yeah,
so
I can
much.
imagine being really pissed off.
So
wasting
Bethesda
50
support
gigabytes.
dropped on October 30th. This nugget of information says, Fallout beta players, we are aware of an issue with the client and are investigating. Do not click any buttons on the client for the time being. Do not click any buttons.
Don't touch this. Don't touch it.
So regardless, it says, anyone seeing this tweet? Hey, Amber's back!
Yeah,
Hooray!
I'm
Hey.
back. I was here the whole time.
I mean,
Below the people,
you
of
were
course.
being recorded the whole
That's it.
time, so the audio was working the whole time.
I know, but I didn't say anything.
So
Anything.
later, they eventually tweeted out that we were actively investigating an issue causing PC players to re-download the Fallout beta. If you see progress bar, please allow the download to complete. Thank you for continued patience. Well, so basically, they just didn't seem like they knew what was going on, and were just trying to actively get this patch out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they mentioned that there's gonna be some major bugs to this thing before they release this beta, but man, like
This is the majorest of bugs.
this is peak Bethesda like brokenness
Yeah.
right there.
and in
It's one thing if the game's broken. It's another thing if it's like impacting its player base in
Yeah,
this,
and this
kind of
this
way.
Kotaku article doesn't have ultimately an update about ultimately what happened to fix it. But they did have an
I'm sure
update at
Bethesda
the
isn't
very
telling.
bottom that does say, "Update." I'm hearing from readers who say they were affected by this and didn't even need to click anything. They simply had the client open.
Jeez.
So who the hell knows what was going on with that?
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was something as simple or as dumb as like it's checking for a certain file. It's like it doesn't see the file there. The game must not be installed. Better create a new game
Right.
file. Oh, the game file already exists. I'll just overwrite that with my
Yep.
new game file. It's
No.
like new empty folder there with nothing in it, like
Yep.
you know, kind of thing.
So yeah, it was funny that who was it? Todd Howard.
Who? Yeah, that guy.
He talked about, joked about it on E3. He's like, so I hear that some of our games might have some bugs in them, so that's why we're doing this beta so that you can break it. Or I think it was like called the
the
break
beta was like
it early
early
test
test application or something
application,
like that. Yeah.
So in
So they
class,
decided to outdo themselves and break it in
break
all
it.
break it
new
before you
ways
even
would
get
never
in the
thought
game.
of.
There's another really fun glitch of this game I've heard of,
Mhm.
which is a carryover from their other games. So apparently Bethesda's physics system, and the game engine in general, the speed of the game engine is tied to the frame rate.
Okay.
So you can go into and like what I mean by that is like if I record a video in 30 frames a second and then I
Uh-huh.
play it back in 60 frames a second,
Oh,
the
no.
video is
It's
going to be
gonna look-
sped up,
yeah,
right?
it's gonna
Because
look
I played
weird.
it back faster than I recorded it.
Yeah.
Everyone's
so
gonna be Benny
in-
Hilling around.
Yeah, so in previous games like Fallout 4, you could go into an INI file, which is a very easily editable file on your computer.
Right.
Just increase the frame, increase the refresh rate basically, and then the game would run faster, not just like smoother. I mean, like things would fall faster in physics.
Oh
Like
my
your character
God.
would run
Yeah.
faster because they are now
Oh my gosh.
because that's how the game is checking. I don't really know how their engine works, but it somehow is based off of that. So this game does it too. But this game is also multiplayer, which means that you could have some people running
That
around the
is
game
just-
like it's super fast, and their attack animations will be faster,
Oh,
their
That's
no.
characters
hilarious.
faster, like all of their all their abilities and things will be faster, be faster, and it's still a publicly editable INI
That's so
file
funny.
that you
What
can
a
just
nightmare.
on this online game.
See-
you can
early.
just
See, and here's the
completely
thing. And here's the thing. Like I know, I'm certain that Red Dead has glitches in it. Has plenty of glitches
Totally.
in it.
Have you seen those horse collisions?
Those
But
aren't glitches. Those are
I just
features.
feel like the magnitude, but again, this is a game that has a ton of independent systems working within it, a ton of NPCs inside of it, and all
Yeah.
these weather effects and physics and all this and terrain and all this shit working within it. And I feel like that game. I feel like that game feels like it is keeping it together. Am I incorrect or am
Yeah,
I
you're right. Yeah,
am I
yeah.
correct when saying
Mhm.
that it feels like that game is taking it together, feeling it together? I feel like for years now, and game after game after game, Bethesda games just feel like they're barely keeping it
Yeah.
together. Like they're barely
Mm.
keeping it together, and a lot of people
Yeah.
have hand waved it away by being like, "Oh, but they're just trying to do so many different things, and there's just like so much stuff that they're trying to do, and there's so many possibilities the game has to account for." And it's just like, at what point do you just say, no, they just can't fucking make an engine that works like with what they're trying to do, and it's like cobbled together at a certain point. It's like
Yeah,
cobbled
but they
together.
also
at a
haven't
certain
spent like
point.
Yeah.
8 years or whatever working on a single game. Like they crank these out fairly regularly, and I think that's the thing is they don't just sit.
I
down.
mean,
Fallout 4 came out like 2 years ago.
yeah, but well, first of all, this is not the next. This is
No,
not. Well,
you're right.
but regardless of what they're trying to tell you, this is not the next Fallout. This is
No,
a
true.
mid step. And before that, when was Fallout 3?
like 4 years before Fallout 4.
I don't even remember.
Something like that.
I mean, that's
That's quite a while. Yeah, you're
quite
right.
a while.
Yeah.
It's a long
Yeah,
time.
you're right. No, you're totally right. I'm just trying to,
They
I
have
also
no
don't think
excuse.
they have nearly as many resources. Like Bethesda, is working on multiple different games at the same time. And you're right.
I think that these are all fair arguments, but at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
your grasp cannot ever extend your reach. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like you gotta at some point realize.
Get broken.
Well, again,
Yeah,
but the thing is the audience has proven that they don't care.
Yeah.
That
It's
they'll
probably-
play their janky, they'll play their janky games, and then that's what they find endearing about them.
The Bethesda thing is probably due to like the legacy of their engine. I don't know how long. I mean,
Yeah.
they have updated, and I don't know if they're using the same one still, but they've been like the style of their games has definitely like progressed in a kind of a linear fashion. I'm sure their engine is different than back in like Oblivion or something like that, but it's definitely kind
Or
of
even
like
Skyrim.
been built on in that regard. Like, yeah, I think they have changed since Skyrim. Like
Mhm.
Fallout 4 was a new one or something like that. But they're definitely like building on top of that old system, and
Yeah.
it feels like that system is that engine itself, like the whole thing with the frame rate. Like other game engines don't have that
Yeah,
problem.
it
Like
d-
don't have that problem. Like
Dark
that's like
Souls.
Yeah.
something weird that they're doing. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Not every other game.
No, I know.
Like,
I know
they're-
what you're saying. I'm just
they've
making a
done
dumb
It
lot of
joke.
just
things like
feels like they're just trying to ask it to do something that it's not supposed to do. Like they're just when they make these games,
Yeah.
and it's just like it'll hold together well enough for people
it's
to
like-
play it.
Around the like Oblivion days, it was like this kind of jank was expected from the scope of this kind
Yeah.
of that kind of game. But it's like,
Especially of that era.
yeah, exactly. But it's like nowadays, it's like there are so many open world games, and sure, you always get a little bit of jank, but like still not to the extent that Bethesda
Mhm.
games do.
No.
Like, and definitely not like this specific bug. Like these are like crazy kind of bugs.
But again, I feel like it is that point where like their audience has shown that they don't care,
I
and
agree.
so
I
they
guess,
and so
yeah.
they why should they? You know.
Yeah.
let's see. This
Yeah,
game-
totally. I mean, it's gonna be interesting when this is out, though, especially with it being online, especially with it being a potential game that might sell DLC for. I would not be surprised if this ends up being like an online game that they want to like sell
Support.
recurring items or things like that to
Yeah,
you
totally.
eventually. I don't think it's launching with that. If it is, they haven't announced that at least, but that seems to be what they're definitely going towards. So if the game is broken, then that might make a big difference to people, as opposed to a single player game like Skyrim or Fallout 4 or whatever, where maybe the jank is just what you accept to get this big cool open world. But when you're having to deal with these other issues, then yeah, maybe not. In the meantime,
We'll wait for the new season of Castlevania 3
Yes.
because that just got
Castlevania,
announced.
the third season, yes,
Yes.
just got announced.
Yeah, yesterday
yesterday.
they announced, which was only about a little less than a week after
Yes.
the season 2 dropped on Netflix,
Which is about kind of lines up with the last time which was like last year, I believe.
Yeah.
They dropped season 1 and then like almost immediately were like, and season 2 is approved.
Yeah.
Like,
So now they've gotten the go ahead to go make season 3, and Warren Ellis, the writer and producer on 1 and 2, is coming back. That's kind of the main thing that they've announced here.
Ricardo, so we just finished season 2.
Yes.
Um,
Just tonight, actually.
Yes, and I won't talk about any spoilers, of
No.
course, for anyone. But Amber and I were talking about this even before we finished the season. Of like, where do you think they go from here? Do you think this show will just continue the adventures of Trevor Belmont, or will they eventually have a cut and move to Simon and jump forward 100 years or however many years it's supposed to be?
You know, it's again, and it's hard to talk about without talking about too many spoilers on here. But first of all, season 1 was 4 episodes. Like it was
very brief.
Very brief, very self-contained, and was great for what it was, but also like it did definitely feel like almost a pilot for what season 2 would be. And season 2, even despite having twice as many episodes, at points does feel like, man, I wish there was just a little bit more time here to explain some more stuff. But having said that, season 2 does an interesting thing of branching out to other characters. Like it obviously focuses on Trevor and Alucard and Sypha and their little merry band, but you get that look inside Dracula's castle, and you get introduced to 2 pretty unique characters that are actually Castlevania characters that are like present in specifically the PlayStation 2 era games, that I feel like where their stories end up, you could definitely do something with. So I don't know where the next season goes, whether it kind of does that split again of of like, now there's this character off doing this and this character off doing this, and then we have, Sypha and whatever doing something else. But again, without getting trying to stay spoiler free.
Yeah, it's hard without talking spoilers. After we're done with the podcast, let's check. 'Cause I'm honestly interested to know.
But I feel like there's maybe one more season with this group of characters.
Yeah, that's kind of how Matt and I felt.
Yeah. And then maybe you go, and maybe again, if it's successful and they manage to keep the same sort of momentum, then they move on to do, to another Belmont story. But I don't know how. Again, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be like interesting to see how they possibly would set that up. So
yeah, agreed.
I will say I don't have a lot of like fandom. A lot of like, I never played many of the Castlevania games, so I'm not like a stickler for it. But this series definitely feels like one of the best video game turned to TV show or movie things I think I've ever seen.
It's definitely really strikes an excellent balance of being like, of sticking, like not doing anything like egregiously like out of left field for what the game, like, which a lot of media that focuses on video games tends to just be like, here's a list of names and things that are in the game. We're gonna just do our own that are in these games. We're just gonna do our own thing and then plug these in as we were. And I'm sure the people that play these games will like it or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Doom, that's Hitman, that's
Stop
Tomb
Code
Raider,
Monster Hunter.
pretty much everything. But this one does a great job of like giving the characters that they bring in a significance, and then also doing like neat nods to the to the games with either background stuff or like, hey, they're fighting this thing which is in this game or whatever.
Yeah.
While still also like not making it feel forced and stuff. It does a really good job. I don't think the show is by any means perfect, but like it's a really neat thing that they've able to accomplish with these 2 seasons so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, it strikes a good balance of like not being so tied to the fiction of the game that it feels like it has to just retell the same story necessarily, but also like doesn't play it so fast and loose that the characters are completely not the characters from the game or not like what you would hope they would be.
And I will also say, besides the animation when it ramps up during a lot of those fight sequences, like there's that, and there's also the writing and the way characters interact with each other, which is, I think, helps give it like a soul again, so that it's not just like
personality.
Yeah, it's so it's not just like it's a video game show or whatever.
I definitely could have used a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Like I think the pacing could have been better.
Yeah.
In the second season, like I think that like it's like, given how the first season has like, it's very short and they have very little time to like give you this information, but it ramps very steadily of like from 1 to 4 of like things are escalating, and like this then takes that ramp and then like immediately is like, all right, we landed that, now we're gonna have this very slow build up
that's
the climax of this season, and it is a lot more like walking and talking.
I think that's what I think that's what I was like trying to get at, is that like I like the room to breathe they give a lot of these scenes and a lot of these characters, but then you start realizing, oh shit, it's only an 8-episode season, and we're on episode 6. How the fuck are they gonna give these things like the proper amount of time that they deserve? And a lot of times they don't. But,
they don't.
Like, but
I think that they focus on a lot of characters that I think are interesting and new, but like not necessarily don't appear to be essential to. They're not essential to the plot of season 2. I'll say that much.
Yeah. It's a lot of like
that's what's interesting to me. Yeah, a lot of backstory, a lot of build up, and then there'll be like the occasional action scene that has like zero to do with like there's a lot of like the vampires rampaging around towns that like the heroes don't go there to stop them. The heroes don't go there later to find out that they've been rampaged. They don't really do much other than it's like, oh, we probably need an action scene in this episode, so let's.
There's literally a dream action scene.
There's a dream action scene at one point
where it's like
weird.
It's pretty funny.
Like, I mean, cool lore, y'all, but like,
Peter Stormare hamming it up.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so I do have to say, so I saw Peter Stormare was in the credits, like excited, like, love me some Stormare, but like the character that he voices starts talking, and Matt and I look at each other like, what? Like, we did not realize it was him, and we're like, what is this? Is this acting? What is
this acting?
Yeah,
and like we could not tell who it was.
As
and then
much as I love Peter Stormare, I feel like a lot of times he's delivering lines where he doesn't know what he's reading.
Yeah,
like, he's just like saying that.
I mean, like, he obviously speaks English, but he reads the lines as if he doesn't speak English, and he can just sound out the words, and that's all he can. And that's all
he's
he can
like
do.
half shouting. I mean, that's kind of Peter Stormare, but he's like half shouting them at times.
The
and you're
emphasis
like,
is on weird parts of the sentence.
I mean, part of that could be that he does have an accent, but like Yeah, it was just like it was like, do you understand like your character's motivation or what you're supposed to be doing in this scene? Because
Yeah.
it's, I think especially when he's first introduced, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
But I think there's points where he does get like more frustrated and
Yeah,
like that felt like that was Peter Stormare being.
There's something endearing about it to a certain point,
Yeah.
but like I don't know, like definitely not the
weird.
among a voice cast, which pretty much the rest of them are excellent. Like
Very good.
He definitely stands out as kind of being like, huh. It seems like they got him for his voice and not necessarily his voice acting ability. You know?
Yeah, like I was thinking this. I was like, you know what I'd want to see with this Peter Stormare acting? A face. Like I want to see
Yes.
him. Like I want to
Yeah.
see like him act and not him voice act.
Over this vampire Viking guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyways,
Anyway, yeah. Talk more off air
later.
because we've got to go to the trailer trash.
Taylor Trash, dang, oh no, I got zapped. Get her done.
We will roll through these because it is already late.
It's late.
Yep. It is
late.
It is late. Trailer trash is the segment of the show where we watch some trailers, talk about the trailers, and then we say which one's the best. And every week it's different because what is best is very dependent on what our moods are
Yeah.
Yep.
and who is here.
Yep.
So,
Pretty
with
much.
that said, let's get started. We have our Nintendo Direct trailers all in a row.
Yep.
Ken and Incineroar reveal trailer. We got Ken. We got Incineroar. Ken is handsome.
Ken
It's
is
not Street
Ish.
Fighter 5 Ken.
No.
he
Um,
hits on Zelda and then gets
And
hit.
then
with-
Link punches him or
Yeah.
hits him with a sword, I guess, technically.
It's pretty good.
He beats the shit out of Lil Mac. It's
Yep.
Does. He goes flying into a giant Jumbotron, and then the game is like, this is not in-game
It's
footage.
not in-game
The
footage. Don't
not.
expect to be
in case
able to
there's
do
none of
this.
that.
He does the
Don't expect
Daigo
it's not.
parry and combo ender there.
I'm guessing that's his ultimate smash. Is what like that looks like.
Yeah, I would assume as much. And then
based on
Incineroar
the,
He's like, I want to fight.
bursts onto the scene and he's like, "Oh, I'm a wrestle man.
I'm a wrestle cat, not a man.
Oh, excuse me. I forgot what I
Wrestle
was.
cat.
Also Incineroar. I don't know actually what he sounds like.
Probably.
That sounds
Something
about
like
right.
that.
He's got a flaming belt.
He's got a
And
flame in
sometimes his
everything.
whole body's on fire.
It's just a parlor trick, brother.
Yeah.
I can break this bus in half.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me, brother. So yeah, then they show off some of his moves. Both these characters look really, really cool. Obviously Ken is just an Echo Fighter, Ryu, but like they
Couple new moves.
did him justice, and Incineroar with all his wrestling type moves is
Very
definitely
wrestly.
appealing to me, even if I didn't play long
He's
enough.
got the Zangief. He's got the Zangief.
He's got the
spin around,
the spinning
like-
lariats going. He throws you into ropes that just appear out of nowhere. People have shown that move. Even if you do it in the air, the ropes and turnbuckles
Appear
just
in the air.
appear in
That's pretty
midair,
good.
and you can clothesline them when they come back.
Sounds good.
That's pretty good.
It's neat. It's a neat little
It's a fun,
reveal trailer.
high energy trailer.
maybe not the same maybe not the same gravitas as Luigi getting murdered in the
No.
Belmont's trailer, or King K. Rool
Yeah.
DDD.
Solid.
The double-
Solid.
the double
Solid.
fake
It's
Adam
still
King.
solid,
All right.
that's
Then we got the
solid.
Piranha Plant reveal trailer,
which is
which
Fine.
which builds up with a bunch of Mario characters, only to be like this Piranha Plant. Look at it. Look at this Piranha Plant.
yeah.
It walks on two little leaf feet, even though it has a pot. It has the feet stick out the bottom. So it's like
It's got little feet.
I was just thinking that the pot is the Piranha Plant's pants.
Kind
The
of,
Piranha
yeah.
Plant, the Piranha Pants.
The piranha pants.
Piranha
The
plants.
Piranha
Piranha
Pants.
Pants.
Or it's wearing a barrel. It's like wearing a barrel, like that. Old,
I
old
imagine
time
it's like a barrel. That's how I see
naked,
it.
And it's like, oh, I gotta get in this barrel and run around in this barrel.
Yeah, you don't want to see a prawn plant naked.
That's what this. This
Do
this
they
Piranha
sell
Plant is.
that on Etsy? The piranha.
we don't talk about the prawn
There's a lot of
options.
items on Etsy that we will not be showing on this stream because
Alright.
that is
Just
not,
look it up, but
suitable
not
for
if you're at
Twitch.
work.
Yeah, definitely not.
To show all the different skins, they definitely different iterations of the piranha plant. His moveset looks really, really neat.
Mhm.
It's cool. Like that's the thing is as much as you hear piranha plant is the last character they announced, and want to be like, what the fuck? But like when you actually see him in motion, he's really really cool. Like,
Yeah, he looks neat. He summons PD Piranha as his ultimate smash move.
Which is great.
So
It's fun. It's a fun
thing.
a fun thing to
it
do.
looks fun. It looks neat. You know what else looks neat? You know what else looks great?
oh
Gosh.
gosh.
Is Super Smash Bros. World of Light trailer.
So this
Boy.
trailer has all our favorites like facing off against a
Like everyone, like
bunch-
literally every single character.
yeah, they're facing off against a bunch of master hands. which
And
are-
this giant glowing thing that looks like a Kirby ship. I can't tell
Yeah.
for certain what it is, but it looks,
Looks
like a
like
Kirby
two
ship.
Pokemon.
and
Yeah.
it's all 3 Pokemon Go logos fucking in the sky.
Yeah.
And basically they do that anime.
It's like this freaking Seraphim, like 6-winged angel. I'm just
yeah,
looking
you're
at it
right.
covering
It
its
is- it
feet
is
with
kind
its covering its head with another wing.
Dude,
Oh my gosh.
oh hold on. At some point in the game mode, all the wings are gonna explode except for one, and then it's gonna be like Sephiroth, and then it's gonna be revealed last character in the game,
Sephiroth.
secret character
Gosh,
Sephiroth
that'd be
is
hilarious.
in the game. No, but they do like the anime thing of like everybody's like, oh, we have to take
Gotta fight.
we each have to take on like 10 each, and Pit's like, we can do it. I know we can do it.
And then
and then they
Shulk is
all-
like, oh shit, we can't do it. And then
And then they all
They
die.
all get fucking
all
murdered.
die.
they all get murdered.
like
Like
how
it's
it-
disintegrated by a light beam.
The best one,
Like-
the best deaths here are Captain Falcon just trying to peace out and
Drive
gets
away.
exploded, and then
Snake.
just
Snake.
sitting in a box and gets fucking exploded.
That may be the
I-
funniest one because it's like very subtle. And
A
you're
lot
like,
of
why is it this box? Oh yeah.
A lot of
okay.
people are running on the internet with Sonic and Pikachu because Sonic like reaches out his hand to Pikachu
Yeah.
and they both get like incinerated by beams, and so there's been a lot of music covers that I've seen placed over that.
Where are the
It's
anime
a pretty
music
good effect.
videos?
But then our
of course-
hero Kirby.
Our hero
Kirby,
Kirby
of course.
pieces that goes.
Kirby,
Yeah, go ahead.
Kirby, the Super Smash Brother, the
Yeah.
star of Super Smash Brothers,
Indeed.
always has been.
He
Always will
goes
be.
so fast on his warp star that he just phases out of
Warps. That
existence.
he warps, I guess.
I
guess he
guess,
warps.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then a giant beam of light incinerates the entire galaxy, and like that's. And then we're on another place, and Kirby crash lands, and this great anime song
I
starts
was gonna
playing.
say you won't be able
That
to hear it in
reminds-
this podcast, but go on YouTube
Go look
and
up.
look it up.
Yeah.
This reminds me so much of the Jump Up Superstar song from Mario Odyssey, except
More like-
except dramatic
With
rather
throw
than,
beer in
rather
there,
than
like near
Yeah.
style.
Or like Ethan mentioned, I think when we were watching it, it felt very Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
Also,
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
This is the Kingdom Hearts of guys.
It is. It's a mashup
It-
of
Kingdom
kids'
Hearts
love.
is- Everybody coming together.
This is,
Oh,
and
shoot,
doing
I
things
hope
that are
there's
like
no
way
more.
more serious and melancholy.
Mario
than
gets
in their
Norded
days.
in this trailer.
He does.
We see Mario get Norded.
He turns
That-
What's Norded
evil.
for our listeners who don't know what that
Mario
is?
gets.
I don't know what
Norded.
Norded
Norded
means,
is
but everyone
when someone turns into a bad person in
But they get
Kingdom
yellow
Hearts.
Kingdom
eyes.
Hearts
They
when
get
they're
their eyes
possessed by
changed.
Xehanort.
Oh, it's like Persona.
Yeah, that's one. And then, but Mario gets different eyes when he
He
gets
red
Norded.
eyes.
Indeed.
A different soul
Oh my
goes into
gosh.
Mario, clone Mario, and then he has red eyes.
That
and
also
then
literally yelled Mario gets Norded like 5 times. when we
Mario
watched this
gets
trailer.
Norded.
He does.
Mario
Everyone
gets
gets Norded
Norded.
though.
Yeah. Look
Everyone
at
gets
that.
Norded. You have
Squid,
to rescue him, and then
the Inkling does.
Mario gets
Ganondorf was
Norded.
already bad.
I was gonna
though,
say
so I don't
Ganondorf looks
really
the same.
understand.
They were working
that
together
one.
just before
And
this.
also, you go to like these different, like I guess the spirits, and they're all just like the weirdest things. Like, oh, it would be Lapras, right?
Yeah, they
basically fight
Lazy
Merman.
They
cat.
basically show all the like spirits, and
this overworld
it's,
looks really
it's
awesome.
pretty much
Yeah.
everybody that's like a
A
side
video
character.
game.
Look, I think there's Otacon right there.
Yeah. There's
Shantae is in
which is
here.
like, what the hell?
There was a Rathalos flying
I think
around.
you're right.
Yeah.
I think that was
Yeah.
Quintel, Raval
There's a-
Ocelot.
There's a sphere grid looking thing of like upgrades. It flashes up for like a second at one point, but I don't know if you guys saw that
Yeah,
part. But
there's like
the-
yeah, there definitely is like a web of like
This mode looks like
of-
madness.
it looks great.
It looks great.
It-
It looks like
it looks
madness, though.
Yeah, it
Oh.
looks like pure madness. I can't wait for that part because the Subspace Emissary was a secret, amazing
the best part of
Brawl.
Brawl. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
part of
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Uh-huh.
So this looks anime as all hell.
Brawl.
All right, moving away from anime and
Anime.
speaking of, speaking
away
of
we
Peter
go.
Stormare. Peter Stormare is not in the new game from.
No, they got like
the,
budget Stormare here.
this guy seems like
I think he's an actor.
He's got to be an actor.
he seems
But,
familiar. I
like,
just don't recognize him.
Let's be real. He's not Peter Stormare.
It's true.
No, but he's doing the Peter Stormare bit 100%
Yes.
of like I am a well-dressed man in a big, large like office fancy room telling you the ghost story.
I was gonna say that's
Since it's,
talking to you, the player
I was
of
gonna
this
say
story.
since it's an anthology, it's more like Rod Sterling mixed with Peter Stormare.
Oh, that's
But-
true. He's
Yeah.
going. He's
Explaining
doing a
what-
good Sterling, isn't he?
Yeah,
A bit.
He's Vincent
Um,
Price.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, this game looks like another horror game. Obviously, we don't really know too much about it. The trailer shows a bunch of scary things and talks about how if you take different choices, then maybe you can have different things happen in the game.
And there are
Certain
always
characters will die or
repercussions.
not.
I've seen choices.
Yep.
I played a Telltale
So-
game. Oh.
I know how this works.
So yeah, Until Dawn was great. So I have decent hopes for this to be good. I don't think I'll play it because I'm too scared to play.
But
I'll watch someone
In the
play
Nintendo
it.
was bad, so I don't
This
know.
was pretty bad, but
Oh,
Could be a fluke.
That's true.
Could be a fluke.
that was probably a different team than the team that made this.
Let's hope.
who knows?
What about Medieval, guys? It's back.
Medieval, the game that
Medieval.
I did not play as a kid, but Ethan did.
I played this
I-
a lot at the demo kiosk. I, never
I was
played
gonna say I
PlayStation,
played a shit
Oh.
ton of the demo disc of Medieval,
and that
but
was it. I don't know if this game holds up, but I was really interested in that. It only came out with like a couple, right? There was only like
there
maybe
was two, I believe. There was two, and I think there was a PSP one, like very
think
early,
you're
and
right.
PSP was like the Return of Dan or something like that.
Yeah, I like the art style of this game a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
the
it
art
looks really
style is
cool.
great, and like again, they show a clip of the PlayStation 1 like graphics on here, and it's like, man,
This looks,
they really improved.
they really did like a
that.
lot. They didn't just do like a little bit. They're like, oh no, this is you really do have to remake these games. Like that's the interesting thing about all these remasters from PS1 is it's like, oh no, we rip everything out and put it in the way you think it's gonna actually be, you know, because they just don't age very well at all. They have to really rebuild it. I don't think an HD upgrade would really help. Or
No, this is-
texture.
Yeah, this actually it looks pretty good. Like this
Alright.
redunified looks pretty alright.
Yeah.
It looks fun. It's got some Grand Cope ass music playing the
Yeah, the
entire
music
time.
sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Solid trailer.
depending on like, I would say, what do you think this is gonna be? Do you think
It's gonna
this
be a
is gonna
$40 thing.
40?
Yeah, wasn't that what Crash
Yeah.
was?
Yeah.
Crash was 40? 50?
Crash
Was
also came with
50?
like 3 different games though. This only comes with one, but I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know.
right.
I think it's still gonna be
Yeah,
40
but-
because
Yeah,
It's a
the amount
ground
of
up.
work put into it still looks pretty detailed. So
Yeah. I'm not familiar with this game. I'd never heard of it before, but I mean, heck, it even looks okay as a
little
game.
platformer adventure game kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Definitely almost cracked on the Crash trilogy a couple times.
crashed on it.
Almost right. And Spyro. Spyro's a game I've actually played a lot more of.
There is a
than-
pack that comes with Spyro and Crash. Yeah.
Hmm.
So there you go. Think about that.
Hmm,
Did
I
not know
will
that.
think about that.
Anyway, what about
Alright,
some metal for y'all?
Gal.
Ooh.
Gal Metal.
It's my favorite kind of metal.
I wanted to like this game because it had an
Yeah,
interesting
same.
conceit, but then it didn't really. It never built on the trailer
I don't
itself
even know
was
what the
not
gameplay
well
is. That's the
edited.
problem. Is they don't
Exactly,
show
yeah.
gameplay.
It starts off really interesting, and then it just kind of like stays at that level the entire trailer. It doesn't actually like.
And it's kind of
doesn't-
long.
Yeah, it's a little long. You're all Japanese schoolgirls playing in this cool metal band. That's neat. That's cool. What do you do in the game? It's hard to tell. It's
Listen
got
to
this
this
comic book style cutscenes.
Listen to this music. I didn't see hear a keyboard at all. I was listening to for it because there's characters just play his keyboard. And that's cool. Metal bands with keyboards are cool. But I didn't hear any keyboard and then you
Yeah.
No
music.
strings, no nothing.
Nope, nothing.
So
Seems
I don't know anything about
like
this
you're
game.
fighting against aliens,
yeah,
and
you
you have
just,
to
like,
rock.
fight against your
very
Japanese
tenacious
teens fighting against aliens.
Again, based on based on that it being a rhythm game, and then the art style, I was really looking for this trailer to like to endear itself to me, and it just didn't really ever. I didn't really
No.
ever feel like
Yeah,
I didn't
has
really
a
feel
really good-
anything honestly for watching.
it has a good starting point, but I needed it to like go somewhere with that, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't really do
Yeah.
that, unfortunately, in the trailer itself. And maybe the game will be good, but it doesn't really convince
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
What about
Um,
Omno? What is this?
Omno.
Oh, I remember this.
Hey, do
Yeah.
you guys like Journey?
I do.
Yeah.
I feel like every couple months on trailers.
There's always a
You like
couple of games
Journey?
that are like,
Like-
Journey, and it's like, yeah, and then that
Yeah.
game does not take off as much as Journey.
No.
I mean, it's a hard
tough.
thing to it's hard for the lightning to strike twice.
yeah.
It's the same problem as the Undertale thing. Of like once you've played the first time and you have it and you didn't know what you were about to experience, going in with an expectation is I think a very different thing.
Yeah.
This game looks like it is going for slightly more than Journey, but it definitely has a part where you're surfing down sand hill.
Yep.
Uh,
And we're like, oh, this is
Okay.
kind of like Journey. I was like, oh no, wait, this is like almost Journey, but it definitely has more puzzle solving elements
Got
and
a lot of animals.
Gameplay.
Animals
Yeah.
are cool.
more gameplay kind of stuff maybe than Journey had. It looks cool, but it definitely can't help but make that comparison.
Definitely does look neat. Like again, the art
Mhm.
style is really cool, and a lot of these other little critters running around is a neat touch. Again, one of the many reasons I like other Journey like Abzu is
I think it's
the-
one of
it's
the
cool
only,
characters.
only other successful one of those, really. That like really.
but
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, I
huh?
don't know. Also, this game apparently very early because this is a Kickstarter trailer.
Oh,
essentially.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Um,
Yeah.
So best of luck to them because it seems like kind of an
that's
interesting game.
We also have Dusk, a release date
gosh.
announcement, which is, do you like Quake?
Man, I don't remember this game being announced.
Do you
so
like Quake?
it's
You like Doom?
Like, it's
you
fine.
got a combination of Quake and Doom.
Yep.
Cool.
This is the shortest trailer and the
Dude.
most like it's a Quake Doom thing.
There you go. If
Go
you want
nuts,
it, if you
yeah.
want it.
You gotta fight demons. You're doing it in 3D though, not like the original Doom. So
Snow Devil Daggers. I'm not interested.
No,
Devil Daggers
exactly.
is pretty good.
That's a good one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a
For all I know, this game could be fine,
It
but
looks,
like
it looks
the
okay, and there's
the
that
trailer's like the trailer's like 30 seconds long. 'Cause it doesn't really give you much an indication.
there's
of,
a
like
clip
what.
at the very end where you're like falling or something, and you're
Yeah, it's
revealing
like shooting
shotguns,
two shotguns.
which looks really neat. But
Yeah.
again, the rest of the trailer's kind of very like it's that game. It's Quake. It's Quake.
Yep. Definitely going for a specific audience that likes those kind of games.
Now,
Yeah.
who's this audience for? Bubsy, Paws
No
on
one.
Fire, teaser trailer.
This is from the
No
makers of
one.
Runner 3. It tells you right up front, so you're like,
So you're not like, oh
hold
wait.
on, people that know how to make games made this game.
Yeah. It even kind of has that same art style in like a weird way. Of Runner
Kinda. It's
3.
like a weird mashup.
Yeah, and then you got Bubsy, everyone's favorite character, which is weird. The announcement for this had here's a trailer for the mascot nobody likes, and it's like, you guys are the ones making this. Why are you so hard?
I like that they even said it. They're like, no
mean,
one.
no one
at
asked
this-
for. No one asked for. That was
Because
it.
at this point,
Because that last game really sucked. Like
because at this
aggressively
point you're
sucked.
really
like,
only playing a Bubsy game for the lulz, for the meme.
But
yeah,
there's-
it's like a stream game, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm gonna stream this.
But at least this looks like a competently made game, and like
Yeah, but the thing about it to me is that it looks like Runner 3.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why
Like
it's
the
competent.
gameplay
But
looks
with
exactly
Bubsy.
like Runner 3, but it's got Bubsy on it, and it's probably gonna have Bubsy's annoying talking on it, and like I don't like. Maybe it'll have more things to do than Runner 3 did, but it doesn't look like it has that much more. Like not so much more that I want to go and buy a Bubsy game.
Yeah.
but Bubsy though,
But that Bubsy.
Bubsy,
Ugh.
Bubsy,
Good
Bubsy,
point.
Bobcat.
Man. Yeah, I never played Bubsy, and I don't feel like I
I
missed out
when
much.
I was a kid, used to go to the warehouse to rent Sega Genesis games every week.
Okay.
I played a lot of Bubsy, to be honest.
I'm so sorry.
like
And
me
at the
and-
time,
You're
I didn't
Fox.
realize like why the game seemed hard,
Yeah, that was me in Superman
Mm.
64.
and it was because
It's
the
bad.
game just sucked.
Yeah,
Yep.
But yeah, that was Bubsy.
it's Bubsy for you.
Bubsy Paws on Fire.
All right, guys.
So what
Well, that's-
wins?
What wins? Well, Bubsy, obviously.
Yeah,
so
clearly.
we
Paws on
got
Fire. Thank
the
you
second
for-
place winner, really,
the
because I mean, Bubsy definitely just blew us out of the water. So,
Oh,
what wins
man.
second place, everybody?
It's a tough one.
Not for me.
I was
for
gonna
me.
say, I
Not
feel
for
like
me.
there's one. shines
Inject
a
that
little
anime.
brighter.
Veins, the Nintendo anime. I'd choose World of Light.
Yeah,
It's
World of
my
Light.
first trailer.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's gotta be World of Light, I guess.
It's too ridiculous
World of
and
color.
anime and stupid and beautiful.
No.
There's also distinct different versions.
Yep. Yeah,
Now
that was
sing
just a good-
Sonic colors.
Such a good.
It was just a good trailer.
All right, well that's it.
That's it. That's Trailer Trash, and that's the podcast. It's gone on really long,
Yep.
so we'll wrap it up real quick. Thank you for listening / watching. If you check us out on our iTunes page, it is the Pixel Podcast there. Give us a rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. If you want to watch this live, we record on Thursday evenings around 8 o'clock, and that would be at twitch.tv/pixel_legends. That is also our Twitter handle, pixel_legends. And you can check everything out on pixellegends.com, where we should have links to most of this stuff, as well as all the podcasts and videos and things that go up on the site. Thank you very much for watching, listening, and we will see you next time.
Adios.
Bye.